So we are going live, and make sure we tick all the boxes. Make sure we tick all the boxes. There we go. Okay. Okay. Okay, everyone. This is Enslavement Watch report on the 27th of March. So basically, yeah. The first thing I would like I need to talk about is a very sad news, which something actually I was made aware in the last half an hour. I got a text and I learned that one of the members of our targeted community in the United Kingdom, David Brummel, has passed away, basically. So that's very very sad news. You know, David has been active in our targeting community in the UK for maybe beyond over 20 years, possibly. It was not only someone who he was networking with other victims and keeping in touch, contributing. David was one of the people very trying all the time to organize new initiative to raise awareness about targeting, and so it was just one member, a member of our TI community in the UK. He was very active in trying to raise awareness, and so very sad news. The more so that we had in the past, David and myself, we had a few differences. And then and then you look back, you feel enormously sad and devastated because enormously guilty and sad, and because we had a few differences in the past. It wasn't the way plain sailing our relationship, and so at this point you look back and you feel enormously sad and guilty, basically, So that's. So we'll see if what we can do. Is it's very difficult to get some time if we can do something to remember David, or to have a little ceremony or something. Sometimes it's very difficult to get the target individual to do things together to get people. But I'll see if people coming up with some ideas, or if we can think of something like to remember David. And which it was a way trying to raise awareness about the targeting. In the last 20 years, it's been very active, and it's very sad news, and very sad news. So I felt really devastated because because our relationship in the past is not, it was there have been few differences, and so you look back, you feel enormously guilty, you feel even more sad because of that, and so when I read the news, I felt pretty devastated. I had a little cry. But anyway, let's move forward and starting with targeting. And to move on, I don't want to, it's about the idea of this. We are being enslaved. There's targeting, which is a kind of it's a kind of social program whereby at the moment, a few thousand people all over the world, in this country, in the United States, in Australia, in France, in Germany, they're being innocent people that have been singled out, and they have been subjected to several things like total character assassination, making up stuff about us, And then the 24/7 harassment, whereby even our neighbors, local people, they are being told that we are bad and dangerous people, and that the only way to contain us is to subject us to a 24/7 campaign of harassment. So local people are getting, encouraged, prompted to take part in this constant harassment. And then the third thing we are getting is, which is this thing may be somewhat disparate thing, which is we have been like targeting at home. Targeting at home with direct energy microwave weapons, being torture basically. So to target the different parts of our body or limbs, what is most what is most traumatic and horrific when they using direct energy microwave weapon to interfere with our nervous system, and then you can cause mood swings. But the thing is, it's a social program basically. It's a social program that we need to explain to people what it's about, not just making a shopping list of this is happening and this is happening. And this is a social program. Basically, they're trialing, they're testing this kind of intensive aggression, which is made up of a total character assassination, real life harassment done by, everyone is being told that to harass us is a good idea, we are bad and dangerous, it's the only way to contain us, and then being tortured at home with these direct energy microwave weapons. And they're trialing, they're testing this on a few thousand innocent people from all over the world at the moment. And but the idea, as I'm going to show in a little while, the idea, or to try to show in a little while, try to document in a little while, the idea is actually that's the new that's the new way for the deep state, for all the different agencies, all the different agencies which are part of the deep state to try a new system of social control. And like we have been saying for some 20 years, like now, like we have been saying for some 20 years, what they're trialing on us is going to be next for, all kind of political activists, the whistleblowers, and everyone creating problems for the corporative state. If you cross the wrong person, if you're in an abusing relationship with the wrong person, that's it happens to you. But it is quite interesting, because if you look at some of the things the political activists are saying at the moment about a lot of political activists, about some of the stuff happening to them, it's quite clear that increasingly some of the things we have been saying for some 20, 30 years now it's starting to happen to quite a lot of whistleblower political activists. If you look at some of the some of the Orwellian news about the various activity of the deep state is increasing in terms of, appearing, not appearing in the Conspiracy Weekly, appearing in it actually being confirmed by mainstream media. There's a lot of unbelievable Orwellian news about the stuff the deep state is getting up to, new project of surveillance, this spider web of propaganda, all documented, often in mainstream media, occasionally confirmed by mainstream media, but maybe denounced by alternative media, often confirmed by mainstream media article. We see that there is increasing overlapping between all the things we have been saying for 20 years, 20, 30 years, target individuals. Is that this thing happening to us, that tomorrow they're going to, if they think they can get away with it, they're going to roll it out on political active whistleblower, and now it's starting to happen, but still people don't believe us. They, we are saying that they assassinated our character. We say they're subjecting us to 24/7 campaign of harassment. We are saying it's a natural reaction. Most people, I understand, it's the reality. Most people think we are mentally ill. We are crazy, People think we are crazy. During my activism in London, I've been talking to so many, thousands of people, basically having conversation and trying to explain. And I telling them, I know. If this has never happened to you, you're going to think I'm crazy or we are crazy. I know. If this doesn't happen to you, or until this doesn't happen to you, you will, we are telling you the facts. You will think we are crazy, right? So, and I think the last report I've been talking about all this evidence that that there is nothing strange about nothing strange or impossible about people being targeted with direct energy microwave weapon. I've been talking about what was happening with the U.S. diplomat at the time of the Soviet Union in Moscow, what was happening to the women protesting outside Green and Common U.S. base in this country, the fact that there are even a number of devices that are using direct energy microwave energy for crowd control, like for instance sonic guns, which in ADS, active denial system. They exist, and all these crowd control devices have been actually confirmed many times by mainstream media. What's been happening recently to the quite a number of U.S. and Canadian diplomats stationed in Cuba and China, which have been complaining about being targeted by direct energy microwave weapon. But so that is I'm telling you, this is not something which was exposed on the Conspiracy Weekly. This is all information has been confirmed by repeatedly by mainstream media. But then after the information comes out, and after the following Monday, everything's been disappeared down the memory hole, and anyone is going to ever heard about it again. So that's the way. Probably because, without wanting to be disrespectful, most people have the attention span of a goldfish. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's the fluoride or whatever diabolical thing they're doing to people, but most people, they have the attention span of a goldfish. So all this information is coming out, amazing, mind-blowing information. Then by the next month, it's all disappeared down to the memory hole. You're never going to hear about it again. And then if someone is telling you, you say, "Oh, you must be crazy. That sounds crazy to me. It's impossible." Yeah. So now I just touched the main point. I went through all this information at length. In the last report, U.S. diplomat in Moscow, at the Soviet Union, at the time of the old Soviet Union, crowd control microwave devices, the women agree on common. Just recently, all these U.S. and Canadian diplomats complaining about the claim of being confirmed, at least initially by physicians in the U.S. and Canada. So, but then the information is out, but then you say, there is also, apart from all these things going on, there is also this social program whereby they targeting, mainly at home, maybe a few thousand people all over the world, in US, UK, Canada, France, Germany, at home, which is like the spearhead for what they would like to do in the future, which is the completely neutralize, suppress political activists, the whistleblowers, in this fashion. It does include gradual assassination, constant harassment, constant real-life harassment, and then frying people at home with microwave devices. It's happening now. It's happening to a few thousand people. If you tell someone that it has never happened to them before, that they think, no, I know the reaction. I'm not offended. I try to explain to people I meet outside Parliament, and then I know what you are thinking. If it's never happened to you, I know what you are thinking. You're thinking, all this is crazy. We are crazy. We are mentally ill. In spite of the fact that there are thousands of us, thousands of us. Thousands of us all over the internet, all over the world saying the same identical things. But if it never happened to you, we must be crazy. I recently learned about a comment about someone which a political activist in London, someone which I greatly respect, and I even have a lot of affection for this person. But he was saying, like, try to explain away what's happening, what we are saying, oh, because we get really persecuted by the state, then we at some point we lose the sense of proportion, and we start imagining things and become very paranoid. So it was a very sympathetic comment. It was a very, I have a lot of respect for this individual. I a lot of affection for the individual. I don't hold it against him, because that's the reality. I mean, that's the reality. If he doesn't tap into you, you think with targeting it, you think we are crazy. Okay. So it's a huge amount of stuff happening at the moment on a number of different fronts. So if think that at the moment they're also having this debate in Parliament. So tonight, that's quite interesting to a degree. I mean, if you may consider anything coming out of Parliament interesting, but so tonight, I think after 7 o'clock they're going to vote. Actually, that's quite interesting because all the members of Parliament are going to vote on giving a sheet of paper when they have to choose if they what are their preferred option to solve this kind of political impasse. So you say, like, rescinding Article 50, having a custom union with the European Union, or just Theresa May deal, or no deal, or something. So that's quite interesting, because we see at the end of tonight we will know the preferences of the Member of Parliament for all the different options which are still open at this moment in time. And also there's some latest news. Apparently Theresa May, just in the last hour, she said that if she can get her deal through Parliament, she's going to basically resign shortly afterward. So that's if people are interested about what's happening in Parliament. And then, I would like to, there is so much mind-blowing stuff going on at the moment, so I see if I can. Another thing is to say, I don't want to, be self-indulgent and talk a lot about myself, but at the moment, there's been some, ideally what to have one of these reports every afternoon, every early evening. But at the moment, at the moment, that's not been particularly possible. I need some juice because my boss is starting to get a bit funny. But at the moment, it has not been particularly possible because basically I'm not in very good shape at the moment. In less than 2 weeks, I'm going to have an hernia operation. I'm going to have an hernia operation on general anesthetic, which is slightly worrying because without something like that, I don't think I'm probably in certain quarters. I don't think I'm the most popular person around at the moment. I mean, I've been making a big nuisance of myself several times outside the Ecuadorian embassy with a megaphone. Julian, please help us expose organized stalking and electronic harassment. Under time outside Parliament or on College Green with the Westminster media shouting my slogan about targeting. So I don't think, and so I'm going to have this operation in less than 2 weeks. I think, unless I change my mind, and on general anesthetics. So that is a big concern because the people sometimes mistakes can be making. People can make mistakes when sub-administering anesthetic. So, and without saying anything more, and I don't think I'm the most popular person around at the moment, particularly in certain quarters. So I think I've been for many years now. From the point of view of certain people, I've been making a big, really huge nuisance of myself, doing all kinds of things and giving away thousands of leaflets on targeting all over the place. So it's a bit concerning about the general aesthetic bit, because mistakes can be made. Sometimes it's easy. So like general aesthetic, and people can make mistakes and things. So unless I change my mind and I decide not to have the operation and try to survive with her, try to. So basically, at the moment I try these things very much on my mind, particularly the general aesthetic bit, and so it's so I still I find it a bit difficult to getting where I really want to be, which is make one of these reports maybe 1 hour long every day, afternoon, into late afternoon, and also maybe do a bit more activism. And at the moment, everything is very quiet on the activism front. Everything is very quiet on the activism front, because I try to decide what I'm going to do with regard to my operation. I try to take things a bit easy, which I've been advised to, but which I sometimes find a bit difficult too. And so that's the situation with myself. So I've not been to Westminster, even though I expect that these interviews have been quite a lively atmosphere outside Parliament, and also the potential, the opportunity to talk with to a lot of people about targeting other things. And I've not been there in the last few days, because I try to take things easy and decide what I'm going to do with my operation, if I decide to cancel, if I want to have it, or whatever. But, so now, I would like to show people, because I say, like, the thing, for some 20 years we have been saying, I can get the, for some 20 years we have been telling people what's happening to us. We have been telling people what's happening to us, and we have been telling people what's happening to us, and let's see if I can get what I want there. So look, let's see what been happening to us, and so and we have been saying, watch out, because in the future is us today. In the future is going to be rolled out. If they think they can get away with it, it's going to be rolled out on starting with political activists, whistleblowers, and so let me tell you about this. It is from Bristol Anarchist Black Cross Prisoner Support, which is an organization which is like aim at defending the right of political activists. And this is they say they came at us because we are strong. Statement on police harassment and abuse of an anti-fascist. So this it's not a target individual. This is not a target individual. This is I hope you are able to see the screen. I'm not entirely sure about that. A bit of teething problem there. Maybe I can try to enlarge the font a bit. See if people open up here might be able to read it or to see it. So this is on the part of the ordinary political activist, not a target individual. And so we have been saying for 20 years, it is like a social experiment which is eventually going to be rolled out on political active whistleblowers. So this ordinary political activist in Bristol, not a target individual, is saying, since December 8, 2017, I have had to ask myself time and time again, it is me or it is them? Is this happening to me? Which usually means checking myself and reminding myself that going out and being involved with this sort of thing, in my case anti-fascism, is going to draw a little attention from the state. Okay, attention from the state. So personally, he carry on saying, personally I think that too many of us take police abuses of power, outright Orwellian surveillance tactic as a given. And then he says, I can't help but wonder how many people have had similar experiences to what I have gone through and just not said anything. So, See, some of the things he described. So he say his encounter, or he said that he was charged for assaulting a police constable, which is something usually they were accused you of assaulting a police constable when they want to pin something on you anyway, no matter what really happened. He says he's currently trying to get his conviction overturned. He said because he's trying to get his false conviction overturned, I think this is one of the reasons that I have started. That's probably stuff that may sound very familiar to target individuals. I have started to get so much attention, harassment, and outright bullying, which could easily be deemed as stalking from the police. So that, over the past 6 months or so, it has taken varying forms, including social media monitoring and hacking, attempts to follow me home at night, undercover officers following me into pubs, seemingly constant monitoring by plainclothes officers around my local area with the support of areas, cars and vans. This has even extended to Bristol city centre with targeted blaring sirens. So targeting individuals, that's what we say all the time, but the people say we are crazy. Blaring sirens, a use of full beam headlights in broad daylight. Listen to this one. I mean, the ordinary activist is not a target individual. It seems that certain elements of the local community have also been involved with tales, garbled shouted abuse, and aggressive horn beeps, also used by undercover officers, designed to intimidate me. At times I have reacted, never with force, but out of sheer frustration by shouting back. So this will be all very familiar to target individual. Target individual, except that he is not a target individual, he is an ordinary political activist in Bristol. So this is, this is having researched some of these, avoiding paranoia as much as possible, I discovered that police stalking tactics have long been used off the record in the UK and beyond. All of the above are intimidation tactics and nothing more. I class it as authoritarian bullying. So, that's, yeah, basically. So, you see, and but people, unfortunately, even political activists, unless they, they get some like fairly superficial kind of harassment, if they don't get this kind of more in-depth harassment like this individual from Bristol, is activist from Bristol is describing, then even most ordinary think they are just mentally ill. They may say, "Oh, we have a lot of sympathy for you. You think we're crazy," But wait until it happens to you, mate. Then we see, and then we see how much support you're going to get. But and there was also another. I don't know if I can get hold of the article. There was something else I wanted to. There was a very interesting article I was trying to. Something happened to an activist active against the geoengineering activist in the United States, which again that we are talking about, even though in spite of people thinking or accusing us of being crazy, it's the line between, the line between, between what some target individuals are saying and some ordinary political activists are saying is becoming increasingly blurred. So, but I know that until people start having some direct experience of these kind of activities so I'm trying to locate a little article which I think was very important. I want to. We can try to. An article I came across, I came across a few days ago, and I'm trying to find it. There's a couple, some very disturbing information about what's happening to Julian Assange. I'm trying to find it. It's a very important article because it is a campaigner against geoengineering campaigner, and basically, I don't know if I can find it. A geoengineering campaign. It's some of the very strange and bizarre thing happening to him. See if I can find the article. Okay, so I think I found the article, and I will try to show it to you. Thus is the persecution of, let's see if I can increase the fonts a bit. The persecution of that is from the persecution of anti-geoengineering activist Patrick Roddy. So it is, there is increasing overlapping with things happening to ordinary political activists that target individual. This article is by Peter Kirby. He say, a great warrior for truth is in trouble and needs our help. Patrick Roddy has been doing effective boots on the ground grassroots activism, exposing chemtrails and geoengineering for many years now. He got the interview with Princess Basma bin Saud from the House of Saud, a Saudi princess, who was not afraid to tell us about the ongoing geoengineering catastrophe. He testified before the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, about the megaton of toxic waste raining down upon us. He even got top geoengineer Ken Caldera to tell him to shut the fuck up. So there'll be a bit of friction there. There are but a few of these many accomplishments. In short, Patrick has been a tireless crusader against chemtrails and geoengineering for a long time now. In recent years, Patrick has been working on his greatest endeavor yet. Patrick has been going about collecting evidence for an epidemiological study linking spray days to localized mortalities. So he's studying into the effect of chemtrails. I mean, I think it's no question, I think there is no question that they are basically, spraying stuff on us, and, it's quite interesting because until until a couple of years ago, if you talk about chemtrails, the mainstream, the universal mainstream reaction with you are crazy, right? And then in the last couple of years, you get all these, government scientists or even saying like, oh yeah, of course we are doing it. We are doing it to counter climate change. They completely change the story and they don't even bother to explain how they, they take overnight they completely change the story to start saying, oh yeah, of course we are doing it. And we are doing it to no sinister motives, and we are doing it to counter climate change. So amongst other things, we are disseminating all these aluminium particles to deflect the sun radiation and to counter climate change. That's what they're saying now. 2 years ago, they were saying, you are crazy. Chemtrails? You must be crazy. So they completely changed the story. I think it's a fair assumption that they're spraying with total abandonment on our heads. And that include all kinds of viruses, bacteria, heavy metals, which, amongst other things, if you believe that they're actually using microwave direct energy radiation to interfere with our nervous system, one of the possible effects of these heavy metal nanoparticles that they increase the conductivity of our brains and our nervous system. So in a way, with us breathing all these heavy metal nanoparticles all the time, make our brain, our nervous systems, to more susceptible to be interfered with all kind of electromagnetic radiation. And I don't want to go into that just now. I talk about these at quite a length in the past, so I don't want to digress too much. But so let's see what happened to this Patrick Roddy, I think. Patrick Roddy, let's see what happened to him. Let's see what happened to him. He's not finding out just when he gets what he needs to do some serious damage to the geoengineering agenda. His life is suddenly turned upside down. Patrick said that his landlord had been practicing strong eviction tactics against him. He said that he was wrongly taken to the local psychiatric ward against his will and on false pretenses. Yeah, he said that he has been burgled of his money, bank cards, and the like. He said that what was not stolen from him, he has been forced to sell. He said that the documentary evidence pertaining to these epidemiological studies is in danger of being lost, etc., etc. So, it's even worse than that, folks. Patrick says that as a result of his persecution, he has suffered a series of strokes that have left him permanently disabled, and that he continues to undergo serious health issues as a result of all this. For the whole story, please watch the following video Patrick published yesterday. Yeah. So this is not. Let's go through some of the stuff again. So this is not in. It's not a target individual. This is not a target individual. This is an ordinary political activist. So it's his landlord is evicting him. He was taken to the local psychiatric ward against his will. He's been burgled. Yeah, they say that he's losing all. Last often it happened to target individual and political activists. They try to destroy all the evidence that he has been collecting about the activity of the criminals. They say he suffered a series of strokes. The have left him permanently disabled. So basically, this does sound very much like what you can read on social network about what you may read on social network about complaints being made by target individual, except that this individual, this person, Patrick Roddy, is not in any way a target individual. It's just an ordinary activist. So we have been saying for 20 years. That is a social experiment, but which is now is being conducted maybe with a few thousand people from all over the world. But if they thought they could get away with it, it's already happening. It's already happening. They're going to start rolling it out cautiously because they don't want to cause any backlash. They cautiously on political activists, whistleblowers, and etc. etc. So that, but I don't blame. But I know that the fellow political activist whistleblower is they're going to be very skeptical, because I know if it doesn't happen to you until it starts happening to you, you think, oh, this is all crazy stuff. But it's not crazy stuff. It's a social experiment conducted on a few thousand innocent people in this country, in the US, in Australia, in France, in Germany. Yeah, it is a three element to it. Total character assassination, they go around our back saying, making up stuff about us. Constant real life harassment, and then when you are at home, you get tortured with the use of the energy microwave weapon. This, this is being done to a few thousand people now, even though a lot of the stuff political activists whistleblowers are getting at the moment increasing in terms of the number coming for people coming forward, in terms of what they're saying. The stuff increasingly resemble what is being done to us. So yeah. But so that is a social experiment, of something which is perfect, which is a social experiment of something which is totally perfect to control and suppress the life of political activist whistleblower, which is now being tried on a few thousand people in a number of Western countries. Yeah, it's been tried on a few thousand innocent people in a number of Western countries. But this, as a template, is if you want to make sure that in the future you have total control, if you are able to suppress at will the life of all political activists or whistleblowers, this is a template that can be rolled out on thousands of political activists or whistleblowers, which is actually absolutely perfect in complete destroying and suppressing the life of the, like I just made a couple of examples there, of the political activist whistleblower. So it's perfect. It's a social experiment on a few thousand innocent people now, but it's the perfect template to destroy the life of, in the future, to completely control and suppress the life of all political activist whistleblower. What? Plausible denial. You talk about this stuff. Even I'm pretty sure that even if the case that they started rolling out this kind of stuff on an increased number of political active whistleblower, they will still be able to have the plausible denial option, because no one is going to, even now it's starting to spill into the world of activism, into the world of whistleblowing, but still people don't believe. So I mean, I'm pretty sure that even in the future, people who normally have the attention span of a goldfish, they will be able to do that to the, say, if they think is viable, etc. They will be able to do that. What they're doing to us, to start rolling it out on political activists, whistleblowers, still people will, and most people will still say, like, oh, it's crazy, it's not happening, right? There we go. And now I think I can maybe, I would like to have a look at, I would like to have a look at some of the Orwellian news we are dealing with at the moment, some of the Orwellian news we are dealing with at the moment, okay. So some of this news I'm going to go through fairly quickly, because just a small number of this item I'm going to zoom in and. At the top it says, let's have a look if I can enlarge the screen for you. On the top is Operation Condor. So basically, Operation Condor, for the one amongst you which don't know yet, Operation Condor was around 1973, when there was this bloody horrific coup in Chile. Operation Condor was the operation conducted by the CIA, by the U.S. intelligence community, to completely control all the countries in Latin America, that instead of working tirelessly to make more money for the bankers, they would actually try to alleviate the poverty and improve the living condition of their own people. So the best example of Operation Condor was in 1973. A little trivia is that, interesting enough, in 1973, I don't want to put any, to make a but it is interesting enough that there's the bloody coup in Chile in 1973 happened on the 9/11, on the 11th September 1973, which is possibly the total. I'm pretty sure is I don't. I shouldn't mention it because it's probably a total coincidence. But anyway, interesting enough. Operation Condor, so the beginning of Operation Condor was the bloody coup in Chile in 1973, on the 11th of September 1973, and then there was coup in Brazil and Argentina after that. Without wanting to dwell on it, I mean, it's interesting to note that, what they did at the time. They staged this, this bloody coup in Latin America in the 70s and then in the 80s. And then the first thing they were doing after the coup, they were, parachuting in all these School of Chicago neoliberal economists, the Milton Friedman alumni, one of which was actually one of the Milton Friedman alumni was actually the former, I can't remember the name, sorry, Rumsfeld, but I can remember his first name, which is quite horrible. But Rumsfeld, he was Secretary of Defense at some point under Bush, and he was one of the alumni of the erstwhile alumni of Milton Friedman at the School of Chicago. But anyway, I don't want to digress too much, because that's, so basically, what the first thing they did all this horrible bloody coup in Latin America, starting in 1973 with Chile, and then what they did, as soon as the coup was over, they were flying in all these School of Chicago economists, and they were using all these countries as laboratory to apply strict neoliberal economic policy in this country, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, But then after, say, 3 months, with the strict application of this neoliberal economic policy was causing the economy in this country to completely collapse, like it happened when they tried in Russia in the early 90s. The economy of the country, of the different countries, to completely collapse with the strict application of the neoliberal economic policies. Then they start to mitigate it, just to keep the thing going, like they start to mitigate, just for survival. Then they start to mitigate this strict liberal economic policy, to make some changes and tweak a bit at the edges, but not before. They had devastating effect on the local population in terms of destroying the welfare system, cutting wages to a small fraction of what they were before, eliminating all kinds of caps on the food and bread and things. So yeah, so that's so when people think about Operation Condor, all this coup in Latin America, it's also important to remember what they did with the economy there. They organized the coup, and then the first thing they did, it was to implement this, implement fairly strict neoliberal economic policy. The economy is, every time this has been done, the economy, it did collapse in a matter of 2 or 3 months. Then they were mitigating some of the policies, but not before that had been caused, enormous suffering to the local population in terms of cutting the wages, cutting the caps on food, and yeah. So that's Operation Condor. So let's go quickly through some kind of the titles. This is from the excellent Canary in this country: as Gaza burns, the UK cannot ignore its role in the crisis. So let's say a few words about that, because apparently, it seems that every couple of years it appears that the Israeli state feels the need to engage again in carnage against basically, they call it a military operation. It's basically carnage against women and children and civilians in the Gaza Strip, basically. So it seems that every 2 years they feel the urge to engage again in this kind of bloodshed and carnage and genocide in the Gaza. It does seem, usually this seems to be, in this particular instance, this seems to be coincide with the new forthcoming Israeli election, which are going to be held in the this weekend, if I understand it correct. So, there's going to be a parliamentary election in Israel, I understand, this weekend, and so it's a good reason as any to start some new bloodshed and carnage in Gaza. And let's see again what you have there. Oh yeah, that's interesting, because again from the Canary, the Guardian latest mirror headline: compare label. So this is quite, that is more than anything else, that show really what's happening with the Guardian. They're comparing the current leadership of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, etc., on Brexit to the position of Tony Blair on Tony Blair statement on Iraq and weapon of mass destruction. So if you think all this comparison is totally crazy, yeah, you're probably right. But that does show the moral. I think the only reason we like to I'm looking at this article is because it shows the moral, intellectual level of the Guardian newspaper nowadays. So the level at which they operate in terms of morality, intellectual level, and they're comparing Jeremy Corbyn's position on Brexit to Tony Blair's position on weapon of mass destruction in Iraq. So I mean, if that makes any sense, obviously it makes sense for the prostitute at the Guardian, apparently. They say 4 years on, UK arms sale are propping up the propping up the Saudi-led bombing of Yemen. That is, we know we know about that. So just going to the title. So it's be good to remember that there is probably the worst humanitarian crisis in human history in Yemen taking place at the moment. Is go completely unreported. Is completely being reported by all kind of mainstream media, and is as we probably would prefer not to think about it, but this is there is plenty of evidence of involvement of apart from the fact that British aerospace and a number of U.S. defense companies are constantly pumping weapons and into Yemen to carry on with this, constant bombing with the carnage. But also there's been rumored involvement of the RAF in this country into bombing. It is passing on of intelligence, training of Saudi pilots, and also the presence of British American special forces taking part in the carnage in Yemen, in actually the ground. We just learned about it goes completely unreported by all mainstream media. So the only way we found out, we get some kind of confirmation of this stuff going on, is because apparently there has been 2 or 3 casualties in British Special Forces station in Iraq in the last few days. So basically, so that's the only way we are able to find out that there is British forces, the British Special Forces involved in this, in what has been described as the biggest humanitarian catastrophe ever there. So, half of the population starving to death, and they completely, the complete infrastructure for possibly one of the poorest countries in the world has been completely razed to the ground. Nothing left, school, hospital. So, but it doesn't exist because because mainstream media hardly mention it. So it's like something which doesn't really exist, or it's not really taking place. So that's just to spare a thought about the horrific stuff happening in Yemen, and all is is all part of this. Then, if you want to know where this thing is coming from, it's all part of this, of the state of Israel, and it's been explained very well in an article I read recently. Basically, it's all part of the, it's about this effort on the state of Israel, the United States, to completely isolate Iran, possibly in preparation of a military attack on Iran. So if they can gain complete control of Yemen, and then there was a Strait of Hormuz there with all these oil tankers going through, will be for them a big step forward into preparation of a possible military attack on Iran. So they obviously that is their geopolitical aim. They don't care how many hundred or thousand of people getting murdered in the process. So that's this collateral damage, and that's the project of the further boxing, isolate Iran, possibly in preparation of future military attack. They don't care how much damage they're doing to Yemen. That is totally immaterial to them, obviously. So the U.S. is talking Congo Deep State civil war in civil war in order to contain China. That is a story this story about basically a lot of this stuff going on at the moment in Africa is basically the fact that China's been getting a foothold in Africa, often offering very good deal to in terms of building infrastructure and commercial deal to local to a number of African countries, so they can get loans and building of infrastructure. They're very, very favorable trading conditions without having to, without at the same time having what's happening usually when this is done by the US, having this the political interference. So, so a lot of African countries, they have been quite happy to deal with China on very favorable economic condition, and but then obviously that there is this fight back on the part of the United States, which try basically to push China out of Africa. That's a part of this effort is also the deep state, U.S. deep state, it likes sponsoring terrorism in Africa as a tool, because we have the British Empire first, then the American Empire, and using terrorism as a foreign policy tool for the best part of 300 years now. So part of this effort to push, push China out of Africa passes through the sponsoring of terrorism in Africa. So it's as a foreign policy tool to try to evict China from Africa. So there we go. So yes, if we can quickly look at some of the other information. And then CIA MK Ultra mind control meet 5G. So in spite of all, in spite of what people may think or say, like, oh, if you're a target individual, you must be crazy. Everything I say is totally rational. If people have been watching this, is everything I say is totally rational. I only talk about things which can be documented, and so this is the situation. So there is people that I did jump on the 5G bandwagon and say, like, people say, like, people saying, like, 5G is going to completely destroy the world, the humanity. So I didn't making this kind of claims, but is maybe, so this is actually a video, so I don't think I have time to actually watch the video. I don't think I have time to actually watch the video, but what I would like to say, apparently, so I'm very cautious in the claims I make. Even like, even if you're a target individual, everything you say, man, is crazy. Well, I'm very cautious on the claim I'm making, so the only thing I can say about 5G, apparently 5G uses the frequency of electromagnetic spectrum used by 5G is very similar to the one used by, you can Google it up, by ADS, active denial system. Active denial system is like, look like a medium-sized van, something on top which look like a large satellite dish, except that the shape is rather squarish instead of rounded. And if you get hit by this radiation, like what you experience is the skin of the feeling in your skin. You feel like it's able to heat up the temperature of outside external epidermis of the skin up to 90 degrees. You feel like your entire body is on fire. So people, when it's used for crowd control. So when that is something which is being reported by confirmed. Reported on length by alternative media, confirmed with many articles on mainstream media, the existence of these kind of devices. We have picture, we have everything. So, but if you eat it, so up night you feel like you are on fire, you scramble, you fall to the floor, crowd control, and apparently the frequencies of 5G are very similar to the frequencies of active denial system in the terahertz range. So I'm not jumping on any bandwagon. I'm not jumping on any bandwagon. I just try to highlight certain facts. So these frequencies are used for crowd control, to heat up your skin up to 90 degrees, and the range of the 5G frequency is very similar. The article mentioned MK Ultra mind control because, without getting into the video there, it would appear that, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it would appear that, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it would appear that basically, there was the MK Ultra experiment. People, they don't know very much. Most people don't know about it. Even if people know about it, they probably know about the folklore, not the fact that there was hundreds of American universities and different research organizations taking part in MK Ultra. So people just, and then all the people assume that it is just a conspiracy theory, that the MK Ultra is all, oh, you are crazy, okay. So the MK Ultra is, I don't want to go into all that, all the documentation, because I don't have the time, but MK Ultra is obviously very real. And they were going on all this, starting in the early 50s, they were all like, all these fishing expeditions, trying different things, and including applying people, unknowing people, applying them with LSD and doing a kind of horrific thing, and then there's, you can, and then, you can establish a connection with many extraordinary things which have been happening then in the 50s and the 60s. Often you can reconduce them to actually MK Ultra experiment. Like it would appear that Timothy Leary was basically in all his LSD experiment, it was actually working for MK Ultra, and it would appear that the Unabomber was the so-called Unabomber. Kaczynski was a victim of MK Ultra. It would appear that even the there was some involvement between what is the name, Manson and all the killing in California and MK Ultra. So it seems that most of the nefarious events they liked most of the then there was this the movie and the novel about someone flew over the cuckoo nest. It was actually that there is also the MK Ultra connection. So it was said that some of the more nefarious things which were happening in the 50s and the 60s take some. So I will not say all of them, but quite a lot of them could be reconduced to some kind of the MK Ultra experiment. And then when these they started to discover the Frey effects. They start to discover the Frey effects and the fact that the Frey effect means, like, if you're in the range of microwave devices, then you start to have strange click in your head, and then strange things start to happen to your nervous system, meaning you can use microwave to interfere with the human body, you can use microwave to interfere with the human nervous system. They discovered that, and then little by little they abandoned all these fishing expedition of MK Ultra. Then is when, in the world of Elana Freeland, MK Ultra became EMK Ultra, electronic MK Ultra. They focus most of their effort in the use of microwave to see how you can use microwave to interfere with your human body, but more to the point, to interfere with the human nervous system. So that's why this article mentioned the connection between MK Ultra and G5. So that's not a far-fetched connection, that this interference with using microwave to interfere with humans, in particular with the human nervous system, it can done on different scale. So you can have, like, part of the social experiment, try to create a template for social control, suppression. It is thousands of people in a number of different countries, like it's happening now, innocent people being tortured at home with microwave. But I personally believe that this is. It is a very difficult, it's a very difficult area, because then again, immediately I can hear the people say, you are crazy. I believe that with these installations, which are rural installations, which are now is not just confined to Alaska, IARP in Alaska, but they are being built all over the place, Norway, New Mexico, everywhere. So we have all this array of area pointing against the ionosphere, tampering, messing around with the ionosphere. The planet ionosphere. I think with all this stuff happening, I think they is open to speculation if they can actually not just interfere with the nervous system of a certain individual in their own home, that they can create like some sort of interfere with the mindset of people on a large area. That a lot of people believe, serious people believe, that was done during the first Gulf War, with the particularly targeting Iraqi soldiers. And you have to wonder about what happened in the Arab Spring. I know it's a very difficult area, because as soon as you say something, oh, that is not familiar with I'm not familiar with this stuff, it sounds crazy to me. Yes. But, I'm very suspicious of what happened during the so-called Arab Spring, which is probably the real purpose of the Arab Spring, and was to regime change actually a specific number of countries like Libya and Syria, and possibly even Iran, if things has gone in a certain direction. So then you get all these NAD, National Endowment for Democracy, trained people in Egypt, which were actually the leaders of the Tahrir Square movement. They were using Tor to to organize protests and stuff, which is what people think Tor is what is going to liberate people from the interference of our government. Tor is actually sponsored 95%, as Yasha Levin showed in his fantastic book titled Surveillance Valley, which is obviously referring to Silicon Valley, is actually Tor is 95% 95% sponsored by the U.S. government, founded by the research into Tor is 95% sponsored by the U.S. government and similar organizations. Governmental organizations. So if you ask why, Yasha Levin came up with the one unproved hypothesis, say to lure people into false sense of security, so they can to gather even more data about people. That will be the first hypothesis, which is totally unproven. So it was assuming that they were building a kind of backdoor into Tor, and so they were using Tor as to collect even more of people information, which will lure people into false sense of security. Oh, I'm using Tor, I'm safe, but then even more, scooping up even more of your information. I must say, that has been, so far there is no evidence of that, but then Yasha Levin comes up with a very alternative, interesting hypothesis. Is being used in all this color revolution, because as soon as there is a government which has a risk of being toppled, sometimes the democratic elected government being toppled by all this color revolution, one of the first things that they try to get some control over the internet. So actually Tor became a very valuable instrument, because in all this color revolution, because during Tahrir Square in Egypt, all these NED trained leaders of the protest, they were all communicating, organizing new protests using Tor. So that's quite interesting twist on all the Tor narrative, I suppose. And let's go have a look at what I hope you have the time to have a look at the information about Julian Assange, which are pretty mind-blowing. Some of the latest development about... So that is the main press news, which is actually fairly serious. It's not like some kind of far right main press news. They're very serious. What they say, they seem that like the New Zealand terrorist attack, there was against an Israel connection. Surprise, surprise. And they seem to think that, like with this individual Breivik, which is, I think, killed a lot of people in Norway. Killed other people in Norway. This new guy, Brenton Tarrant, seemed to have a lot of connection with Zionist circles and the State of Israel. But that's basically, we can maybe widen the discourse to have a look at what is happening with with this the fake bankers' right. The fake bankers' right, it is all this organization on the right end of the political spectrum. I tell you, I've also the fake left bankers, the bankers left, with people like Alte Blairite, MP in the Labour Party, all the people like the Hillary Clinton and Schumer, Pelosi, all these creature there in the United States. So at the same time, you have all the fake bankers right, you have the fake bankers left. So it's not just the fake bankers right. Most of the people in the fake bankers right, they spend most of their time, waking time into try to whip up Islamophobia. Right? What they do that, because then if you dig deep enough, you find out that they are sponsored by either by the State of Israel directly. They have a government department called the Department for Strategic Affairs in the State of Israel, which does exactly that, give money to these people. So they spend all the time to whip up Islamophobia. So basically. Which is basically why? Because they're getting most of their money from either from a Zionist billionaire, or from Zionist circle, or directly from Israel, from the Department of Strategic Affairs in Israel, which is so basically, to make a long story short, the wipe up Islamophobia in the West, so does give them a green light to carry on with their genocide against the Palestinian people. So just not to get too subtle about it, to make a long story short. So it appears that there was connection between this new creature there. Creature called Brandon Tarrant, and it was, there is a similarity with what happened with the other creature, Berwick in Norway, which again killed a lot of people, and they seem to be a lot of connection with the Zionist circles and the State of Israel. So that's quite interesting. I hope this isn't going to get me in trouble, but people start accusing me of being anti-us. I didn't say anything, but I'm being very careful what I'm saying, but you need to be extra careful nowadays. And then the main reason to believe Vasily Prozorov testimony. So basically now we have an insider, Ukrainian insider, a former top official in Ukraine security services. That is, there was a few people that they say this MH17 was done deliberately by the Ukrainian government, possibly with the green light coming from the U.S. government to basically to demonize Russia, to iron up tension with Russia. And now, interestingly, because in the last few days, it's not just this high-ranking former Ukraine security service official saying this, an insider in the Ukrainian intelligence community, a high-ranking insider in the Ukrainian intelligence community, but also there was a BBC journalist. The BBC journalist just came out in. So there has been several, interesting enough, just at the very same time, in the last few days, there have been several, well-regarded journalists working for mainstream media journalists that have been actually saying the same identical thing. They have knowledge, they have information that, it was all a psyop, it was all a false flag, and MH17 was done by the Ukrainian government, possibly with the complicity of the green light from the American government. So it's been coming. A lot of journalists and intelligence. That's what a lot of people have been saying all along. Actually, that there was strong evidence pointing in the direction of, have been done with the Ukrainian government, possibly with the complicity of the U.S. government. But now we get confirmation from a top official, top intelligence official, top journalist, well-regarded journalist that is actually that was actually the case. And also another interesting one about what's happening in Venezuela. Venezuela, they all obviously will love to, regime change Venezuela, cause a civil war where thousands are going to die, and then impose neoliberal economic policy in Venezuela. So probably the economy is going to collapse in a couple of months, like every time else when this has been tried before. And the people of Venezuela, they're going to suffer enormously for decades. So that's what they would like to do in Venezuela. But the article is about Venezuela from Tyler Durden. Venezuela, from the excellent, fantastic activist post, Venezuela plunged into darkness hours after Russian troop arrived. So obviously, that's Maduro with Putin. So less than one day after two Russian Air Force planes landed in Venezuela, carrying nearly 100 troops, and the Russian defense official, a new power outage was detected across the country at 1 p.m. local time the following day, affecting 57% of the country, according to NetBlocks, which detects power outage based on internet outages. So basically, I think you can fairly say that this the intention of the Russian is sending up to 100 troops to Venezuela is like to create some sort of tripwire for the in case the the American or the U.S. government is going to be foolish enough to try some military adventure in Venezuela. So that's probably going to represent some kind of being there in the ground, embedded with the Venezuelan military. There's going to be some sort of tripwire to further discourage any kind of aggressive imperialist adventure on the part of the Trump government. Trump, during the election, he was saying like he was, he wasn't interested in regime changing other country, he wasn't interested in all kind of military adventure and etc. So that's what he was saying during the 2016 election. So that's meant to work like some kind of tripwire to hopefully deter some new military adventure on the part of the Pentagon. Detroit to become America's second Chinese star. That's quite interesting because, Detroit to become America's second Chinese star surveillance city. So people heard about this this social credit system and maybe the rather heavy-handed way in which they try to control what's happening in Xinjiang. Probably in China is trying to control the population in Xinjiang, which is a region of China, which is a majority Muslim region of China. And they think, oh, that's just China, this kind of stuff is never going to happen to us. But it would appear that a lot of American companies, Silicon Valley companies, they actually involved, a lot of Silicon Valley companies, they actually involved in creating this, this social credit system in China. So if you think that it is never going to come to the West, it's already coming to the West. And this article says that, let me go back to the title, they try to become America's second Chinese style surveillance city. So they try to create this like Orwellian smart city. They call them smart cities. They try to create this, or the other one being San Diego in California. So we have the IntelliStreet. Oh, Detroit using IntelliStreet, a company known to have strong ties to Homeland Security. And what started out as a voluntary police camp share program in Saginaw, Michigan, has morphed into a massive 1,000 surveillance camera network, which includes 500 businesses in Detroit. So if a lot of people think, oh, this is just China, it's never going to happen in our country, in the West, so good luck. Detroit Project Greenlight spies on people in real time at gas stations, retail stores, and public housing. It may not just as bad as what is happening in China just yet. A map of Project Greenlight surveillance cameras shows the true extent of police spying in Detroit. It looks like an awful lot like the map of San Diego IQ street lights. Yeah, that they're building all these. One of the things they do is to go for street lights. They try to install this really smart camera on street lights, and which is possibly already include they use a facial recognition software. They have a smart, they also include they use a very sensitive microphone. So people, if you are, in the street talking with your friend, they can listen to to what you're saying to your friends, to listen on your private conversation if you're in the street. So apparently these microphones are very sensitive, very effective, and so if you think the stuff is it's only going to happen in China, you may well remember what Sasha Levin says in the Surveillance Valley book, which is a fantastic book. Which you read it will probably change your understanding on of many things going on, including the use of Tor browsers. And he says that actually, we all have the folklore about the internet was created out of ARPANET. ARPANET was designed to create a resilient network which could survive a nuclear war or a nuclear explosion. Sasha Levin, bringing forward a lot of freedom of information requests, research, document, etc., argues that actually the main reason of creating ARPANET, which then would become the internet, was actually to collect, at the time, if we're talking about the end of the 60s, there was a very strong student movement in the US, there was a very strong anti-Vienna movement in the US, there was a very strong civil rights movement, there was the Black Panther Party, many other things, ecological movements, and so actually, according to Yasha Levin, the main purpose, it was actually not so much to create a resilient network able to survive a nuclear explosion or a nuclear war, but to create a network whereby you connect. You can connect all kinds of information about political activity, political group, a political movement, and then you get all this information together, and then you are able to share this information with a lot of different agencies, FBI, local law enforcement, universities, big corporations. That was according to Yasha Levin, that was actually the main idea behind the creation of ARPANET, which was then to become the internet. So if then at the time, in terms of software and hardware and technology, that was a bit like an aspiration, like a dream for them. I think nowadays this thing is very much coming to fruition in the creation of some sort of like it's a social radar which is sent to all over the planet, whereby they collect where they collect a terabyte of information on every single inhabitant of this planet, and they can immediately detect in real time the emergencies of a new BDS movement in a given university, or the fact that someone is trying to spread some very sensitive information on the internet. So, talking about ARPANET, so if you think, so that was apparently the real motivation behind the creation of ARPANET - internet in the late 60s. Interestingly enough, students at the time were totally aware of the danger of this new ARPANET - internet. There was huge protests, but then, as always happened with the human affairs, everything, this concern went completely down the memory hole. They never heard about again. And people think, it was the internet. ARPANET was just to create a resilient network able to survive a nuclear attack or a nuclear war. There you go. So let's have a look again. And then I hope I have the time to go into some really chilling it's not just China and the social credit system. There are plenty of instances that this thing is already. A lot of local authorities in this country using predictive software to single out area or individual who can be at risk of joining gang or engaging into crime, and this also is happening with a lot of law enforcement all over the world. So don't think, please, that it is just limited to China. And as I said, a lot of Silicon Valley companies are working with China to develop the social credit system. So I mean, if you think this is only the problem for China, oh, okay, that's that's another good one. The making of a monster. We all lab rats into government secret experiments. So there you go. And let's see what this article is talking about in terms of experiment. Mind you, there is no greater good when the government is involved. There is only a greater greed for money and power. These horrors, they are altogether oblivious to the grisly experiment, barbaric behavior, inhumane conditions that have become synonymous with the US government. These horrors are being meted out against humans and animals alike. So then we can go back to the MK Ultra, all the stuff they were doing in this country for a number of years. That actually is it's the information coming out from the article Guardian a few years ago that when the Guardian was a bit more of a serious publication than it is today nowadays, and they were reporting out that for many years the lovely people of Portland Down in which they were the experimenting with total abandonment, spraying all over this country. That is a bit the similarity. It's not the same thing, but there is similarity with the chemtrails. They were spraying that is the article on the Guardian, totally documented, bringing forward a lot of information and facts to the table. And they say for many years the lovely people of Portland Down were spraying bacteria, viruses, and heavy metal all over this country, including in the London Tube, to detect the effect this stuff was having on people that they thought that they've been doing for several years. Obviously, no one knows about it. If you talk to people, they may even say you are crazy. So going down to memory hole, he's appeared on the Guardian, forgot about a couple of days. Now, if you talk about this stuff to people, they say if you say that, it's impossible. You must be crazy. So there you go. So talking about these horrors, let's see what they're referring to. These horrors. About police shoot a family dog. But the U.S. law enforcement are very fond of killing dogs and for no reason whatsoever. So that's it. Is an aspect of the current climate of total barbarity, but they're also very, very, very fond of U.S. Law enforcement are also very fond of killing people for no reason whatsoever, apparently, because apparently all these killings they become more and more wanton, so in the sense that they don't see any reason for them. At least in the past they can find some reason. Oh, there was this little child with a toy gun or something, or this person was maybe, we have a conversation with this person was a bit like argumentative. Now there is apparently a US story recently that they just kill people in the back just for the fun of it. US law enforcement, so they not even, the little child has a toy gun, or this other individual was a bit argumentative. So they just shoot people around them and they get away with it. That was I read many stories that seemed to be happening in the US. They just kill people for no reason whatsoever, not even being argumentative or anything, just they kill them, shoot them, and most of the time they get away with it. So it's quite unsettling, but let's have a look at this article. So obviously there is connection there to the whole MK Ultra experiment. That's what they like to conduct cannibalistic experiment involve killing cats and dogs, purchased from Colombia, Brazil, Vietnam, China, and Ethiopia, and then feeding the dead remains of laboratory kittens bred in government laboratory for the express purpose of being infected with a disease and then killed. So, we know that, if the unspeakable things they do to animals, the most of the stuff, they call it research, but, there is not really is, the only purpose of this stuff is this fact that people, these pedophiles, are totally sadistic and disturbed and crazy, and so they get off doing this stuff. I don't think there is any research involved, there is just sadism. And the Department of Veteran Affairs have been removed part of dog brain to see how it affects their breathing. That's lovely, particularly if you hurt the dog. Apply electrodes to dog's spinal cord. I mean, it has been doing this thing in laboratory for 50, 60 years. Some of the stuff is make you really ill just to think about it. Before after severing them to see how impact their calf reflexes, implanting pacemakers in dog, earth, and then inducing them to have heart attack. Before, I think they probably can cause easily cause heart attack. There are many different ways of causing heart attacks to humans if they want to, but you are crazy, you are crazy. No, I'm not crazy, I know what I know. I tell you all information about this. Before draining the blood, so, these people really, the thing is a bit of the American version. It's a bit reminiscent of this article by The Guardian, which appeared a couple of years ago about all the lovely people of Portland Down and disseminating all kind of obnoxious, the dangerous substances all over this country. In Maryland, sleeping prisoner, the pandemic flu virus spread up their nose. In Georgia, 2,000 volunteer prison inmates had gonorrhea bacteria pumped directly into the urinary tract through the penis. In Michigan, male patients at the insane asylum were exposed to the flu after first being injected with an experimental flu vaccine. In Minnesota, even public service employee volunteers were injected with malaria test staff for 5 days. So, and then obviously a lot of these people died, but obviously you never like to hear about it anyway. If it died, the whole thing is get covered up. And in New York, dying patient had cancer cell introduced into their system. In Ohio, over 100 inmates were injected with live cancer cells. So, that's what is going on. But in Staten Island, children with mental retardation were given hepatitis. So that's the situation really that no one talk about and no one think about. And then to sum it up towards the end, we say, in the late 40s and 50s, the late 40s and 60s saw huge growth in the U.S. pharmaceutical healthcare industries, accompanied by a booming prison experiment funded by both the government and corporations. By the 60s, at least half of the states allowed prisoners to be used as medical guinea pigs. Because, it's interesting, that they were cheaper than chimpanzees. That's interesting. So that's what we are dealing with. I don't want to dwell too much on this because there's a lot of so much more I would like to bring to your attention. EU Parliament signing off on disastrous internet law. I don't want to dwell too much on this one because there is so much stuff still to go on. But basically, they pass Article 13. Article 13, what it does, Article 13 is being passed by the European Parliament. So now we need to, the thing is, the only good news in this is that maybe this country is going to exit the European Union. Also, another good news is that this abomination still need to be ratified by the individual countries. Talking about Article 13. So basically, what they do with Article 13, they introduce some really draconian copyright legislation, and it's quite clear that the purpose it's not so much to help these very greedy people to exploit and squeeze ordinary people even more. It's quite obvious if you look at the drafting and etc. that actually the real purpose is to use this copyright legislation like to prevent freedom of speech. So like if I were to post on Facebook or somewhere else that I think, oh, Google is an evil corporation, they may not be able to censor me because I accuse Google of being an evil corporation, but they may be, on the basis of this Article 13, this new copyright provision, they may censor me because I mentioned the name of Google in vain, breaching some kind of copyright stipulation. So that's quite interesting. So, I think most people consider this to be the last nail in the coffin of our freedom of speech. Arguably, that's what it is. New Zealand false flag, what they don't want you to see. So I'm not going to go into this one at length. I don't want to, for a number of reasons. But, from what I read and watch video, etc., again, we're dealing with the situation where the official story has more hole in it than the calendar, so it doesn't make it. Again, we're being served with an official story which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like in Las Vegas, like in many situations. So I'm not saying New Zealand was a false flag. I'm only saying if you look at the official story, it just doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm not saying it was a false flag. I'm not jumping to any conclusion. I'm saying look at the official story, look at the official video, the 17 minutes video, which I watched bits. I asked them to say that I didn't, I asked them to say that I didn't save any copy of the video. I didn't share any copy of the video. I just had a look at the video, and basically it doesn't make any sense. But that's just me, maybe, or whatever. So I don't want to dwell on this. So just to say a few words about New Zealand and Christchurch. Then how the Israeli lobby got its start, well, the Putin rules the world meat exploded. Oh, it's quite a lovely one. The suckling boy toys would dream of leading the West. That's quite interesting. I think that's quite very good. It's a generation of posturing, ridiculous, metrosexual boy toys who would faint at the sight of a drop of their own blood as arisen across the Western world, uttering ludicrous empty threats at Russia and trying to set off wars everywhere. So that's quite a lovely, I think, quite entertaining. Quite an entertaining statement, which I think has all the truth. And thus, about Julian Assange, finally we got to Julian Assange, so give me a second there, and finally we got to Julian Assange. I want to look at something there. Okay. Okay. So let's go back, and this is the couple of articles about Julian Assange, which one of the main information I wanted to share with you today is about the information about Julian Assange. Rendition plane, increased police presence, raised fears for Assange. So that's what happened. That's something which happened in the last 2 or 3 days. It's a mysterious flight of a U.S. rendition plane to London, and an increase in the number of plainclothes British police outside the Ecuadorian embassy has heightened concern for the Wikileaks founder, as this excellent, fantastic journalist Elizabeth Vos is reporting. So apparently there is a identified plane landing in London and sticking around for a few days. The plane is N977GA, which is a plane which has been used before for renditioning a number of individuals. Rendition of an individual, including a Russian national, to rendition a Russian national outside of the Czech Republic recently. So people they saw this plane landing in London and sticking around for a few days, they get quite concerned. And apparently what happened is that when after the landing of this plane in London, when Christine Assange, the mother of, I'm sure you know that Christine Assange is the mother of Julian mother, said on Twitter, tried to raise concern on Twitter about the landing of this plane, she's immediately maybe 24, 48 hours, her Twitter account was suspended or deleted, only to be reinstated after 24 to 48 hours. When Telesur, the Telesur TV network was trying to raise a concern about the same issue, the plane landing in London, about the safety of Julian, then Telesur also, more or less at the same time, was suspended for 24 to 48 hours. And then the account was reinstated. So they think that a lot of stuff going on there. See, I've seen an interesting quotation there. Okay, so that's apparently, however, this evil plane has been departed London so far. So anyway, people feel a bit more less concerned about Julian's safety. But that's the best one. That's the best one. That's the one of the well. First, I would like to show something else. First, about something which happened this weekend on Saturday, Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take part because of my hernia, and I've been advised to take things very easy until my operation, which is going to be soon. But let's see if I can show you this. Let you know about it, what's happening this weekend. Weekend, Friday and Saturday actually. Let's see if I can show you what is going to happen this weekend. Actually, Friday, Saturday actually. So let's see if I can show it to you. Oops. Oh. Right. That doesn't seem to be working. Oh, don't know why. So, okay, what's going on there? I was trying to show you some I try to show you something which I seem unable to for some reason. Right, so let's try again. I was trying to show you something quite important. A poster for an event which is going to be happening this weekend. Okay, let's see if I can show it to you. So first of all, this weekend, no, it's actually the weekend maybe, but anyway, Friday and Saturday. Friday, March the 29th, and Saturday, March the 30th, outside the Ecuadorian Embassy, number 3, Hans Crescent, in Knightsbridge. There is going to be a full today visual with people, possibly a number of people actually staying tonight, and the number of people spending tonight, and then a number of people also coming from Australia, from other European countries, be there, journalists, and people maybe like, I don't know, just out the top of my head, a lot of people all over the world, like John Pilger and Craig Murray, and by Craig Murray living in this country, but I mean, a lot of people that from all over to Joe Loria, and a lot of people from Australia to US, Canada, which are very active in trying to defend Julian and his human rights. They're probably going to fly in. So, and then there will also be a splendid occasion to try to raise some awareness about targeting, like I have done to be. But I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to make it, because I say, I mean, I'm going to, in less than 2 weeks, I'm due to have this hernia operation. I was very much advised to try to take things easy and rest and things. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to have the operation really. So but anyway, for people in London, that's so it's 2 full days. Some people are probably to spend the night there in sleeping bags and things, and outside the Ecuadorian Embassy. There's probably going to be a lot of people, but a lot of defender of Julian Assange. Now I don't know exactly who is going to be there, but you know, you have a lot of people in the intermedia, in all over the world, in Australia, in the US, Canada, very very vocal in in protesting against the treatment of Julian, and they're probably going to fly in, so they're going to be quite a bit of media, quite a bit of media personality, high-profile political activist. So if you're in London, if you don't have a hernia operation in a couple of weeks like myself, maybe you may want to go there and have a look. If you're a target individual, you may find that is also because there's probably going to be a lot of media and high profile, media people and etc. Journalists. So it would be a good opportunity to try to say a few words about targeting to leaflets. So I may finally decide to go there myself. I'm not entirely sure yet. So that's what I wanted to make people aware of this weekend outside the Ecuadorian embassy, and yes, outside the Ecuadorian embassy. And let's see if I can get the article. I want to show you something. See. Okay, that is a fantastic article to show all the unspeakable things that have been done to Julian at the moment. You have almost to like to pinch yourself to believe that this is actually really happening. So this says, basically, let's see if I can go to this article with you. This says, Ecuador imprisons U.S. journalist, meaning the lady Cassandra Fairbanks, the lady who wrote this article. Ecuador imprisoned a U.S. journalist as ambassador tell Assange to shut up and accept spying. So that's some stuff in this article. You really have to pinch yourself. So Cassandra Fairbanks, it was meant to be a routine visit by a journalist to another journalist. Instead, Cassandra speaking, I found myself locked in a cold surveillance room for over an hour by Ecuadorian official as a furious argument raged between the country ambassador and Julian Assange on Monday. That was 2 days ago. So it was happening on Monday morning, earlier. No, I think it was happening on Monday in the afternoon, early afternoon, this week. The room was inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where 2019 Nobel Peace Prize nominee Julian Assange currently lives under the ostensible protection of political asylum. Yet the WikiLeaks publisher was barred from entering the room where he was supposed to join me for a pre-approved meeting because he refused to submit to a full-body search and continuous surveillance. So that's quite something. Showing how Julian is being treated at the moment by the Ecuadorian government. In the fireworks that followed, Assange accused the ambassador of being an agent of the US state government and some. The crackdown on visitors was felt before I even entered the embassy. It's the third time Cassandra is saying, I have visited in the past year, each time the atmosphere seemed to have been getting progressively worse. Just like my previous visit, since new rules for visitors were enacted, I couldn't take my phone into the meeting without, listen to this one, without giving the Ecuadorian official at the embassy a straight of data. So if you want to take it in with you, if you want to take your phone with you when you visit Julian, the request is brand, model, serial number, IMEI number, and telephone number. That's it. Considering that we're talking about journalists, that is probably this kind of information is then going to be shared with the U.S. intelligence community, with the Five Eyes intelligence community, wholesale given to the Mossad. They get all. The Mossad is getting all the Five Eyes intelligence information wholesale without any filtering. So considering that this information was collected by the Ecuadorian embassy people, the then is going to go everywhere. Five Eyes, Mossad. So you can understand why journalists are not too keen on having these. Then they find themselves in war area, in war theaters, and then they get targeted. So So journalists are probably not very keen to surrender this kind of information about a mobile phone. I was also advised, Cassandra carry on saying, that Ecuador could not be trusted to on my phone while I met with Assange. So, probably it's a procedure if they do unspeakable phone to, So I left it behind, walked to the embassy with a phoneless, possibly carrying only a little notepad, 7 minutes early to make sure it was on time. So apparently she was like a few minutes early, she was sent away, told to come at the right time. She was evicted from the embassy, told to come back at the right time, apparently. So that's very, very nice. Apparently she didn't have a phone, so she was asked to come at the proper time. She was 6 minutes early. She was say, oh no, come back at the proper time. They wasn't allowing to the embassy because she was 6 minutes early. So that shows you how Julian Assange's communication have been conducted and managed by the Ecuadorian government. Cassandra said, when I visited for the first time, which I believe was a year ago to today, the atmosphere in the embassy was far more welcoming. So she's saying it's getting worse at the time. They tried to drive poor Julian crazy. After being served, the staff directed me to the conference room where 2 large visible cameras were pointed at the table. Those were that was part of being quite customary in the last 12 months. She said, I knew the drill. They reminded me multiple times that my visit was only approved until 5 p.m. and that I would need to leave until dark. So that's what they're doing. When Lenin Moreno, the current Ecuadorian president, was challenged by this, by different sources for keeping Julian Assange incommunicado for 7 months. It was widely criticized all over the world. Then they start allowing again to communicate with people, but they imposing this draconian condition on the way, the modality in which Julian is able to communicate with journalists, with his lawyers, with his friends, and his family. That basically, it's like it's try to undermine his mental health. I mean, it's not just draconian. It seems that it's meant to make life totally unbearable for Julian. So they were widely criticized for keeping Julian incommunicado for 7 months. So they decide to relent. They're allowing, Julian to have some kind of communication, but the sabotaging and the harassment and the interference and the condition and the rule and regulation, and they're totally unbearable. Okay, let's see what happened afterwards. So that's going to, but what's happening, A few months later, Assange walked by the door, but he couldn't enter. Embassy staff demanded he submit to a full-body scan with a metal detector before allowing him into the conference room. It was Cassandra Fairbanks. She said that was actually a new thing because she'd been there a few times before. That was actually a new one. Julian then he said, it was from Cassandra, which she was taking note on a notepad using a pen, because she was not allowed any digital device to carry any digital device. She said, so Julian responded, say, I don't want to do the body scan. It is undignified and not appropriate, I heard Assange say. This is Cassandra. I'm just trying to have a private meeting with the journalist. So obviously Julian got a bit upset. The door was slammed shut by someone from the embassy. I decided, Cassandra said, to sit and wait. They say, okay, not only would they not let Assange in to see me without a body scan, they also forced his layer to be scanned before he could come in to update me on the situation. So that's, imagine that. So then, his lawyer was there, so they sent him to explain to Cassandra what was happening, and before he could enter the room, he had to be body scanned. The lawyer, Julian lawyer. before being able to speak with the Cassandra in the conference room. So that gives you some idea of the way Julian is being treated. They probably they tried to drive him to leave the embassy or to make him to lose his reason, or one of the two. Cassandra Fairbanks say, after roughly 20 minutes, the lawyer came in and informed me that they were demanding to search Assange. Moreover, we would not be permitted to talk anywhere outside the highly surveilled room where the Ecuadorians confined me. Agreeing to this draconian term would set a bad precedent, so he wasn't sure if the meeting would go ahead. After appraising me of the situation, he left the room. So Cassandra Fairbanks was in this conference room for the best part of an hour. Then she discovered, Cassandra, that she was actually locked into the room. A bit later, I decided to leave the room myself for an update from the embassy staff. I quickly discovered that the door was locked from the outside. So she was locked in, kept American journalists in the Ecuadorian embassy, basically being held as a prisoner for the best part of an hour. So I went to the second door that was locked also. That time, when I realized that the Ecuadorian official had deliberately imprisoned me in a room, the conference room. As this ominous realization dawned on me, I heard a dramatic confrontation unfolding outside. So that's she taking note on a little notepad, because she was not allowed to carry any kind of digital equipment. So Julian is saying, shouting, having this row in the other room. Julian saying, "What are you frightened of in relation to me meeting with the journalists? What is the embassy afraid of?" Assange asked. Assange is arguing that as a political refugee, the embassy has a duty to protect him, not to treat him as a prisoner. It is quite interesting about this mention about the prison. Then, is this a prison? Assange asks. It is not, the ambassador replies. You know it is not. Then Cassandra says, the visit to the published had in fact become eerily similar to visits I have made to inmates at federal penitentiary in the US. It seemed our government was getting what they wanted from Ecuador. That's quite interesting. As a former senior State Department official told BuzzFeed in January, as far as so obviously they are very aware of this the condition which is being you may say held in the Ecuadorian embassy. So it is the former senior State Department official told BuzzFeed in January, a couple of months ago, as far as we are concerned, he is in jail. So the American government, they are very well aware of this. They probably actually, it's not, they probably, member of the current administration, they are probably the one of the within the U.S. intelligence community that actually design all this kind of restriction and impose on Assange. So it's still about this ongoing row outside. This Cassandra, she was taking note. Assange, clearly agitated, demanded to know, why are you surveilling me speaking to a U.S. journalist? Do you think it is unreasonable for me to expect privacy when I meet with a journalist? Why are you silent? Addressing the Ecuadorian ambassador in London. Or maybe some other embassy staff member. The embassy staff member responded that he can't say anything. Why can you? Then Julian, why can you say anything? Don't you have an excuse? What is the basis of these irrational and demented restrictions? Why are you surveilling American journalists? What reason should we tell him? Assange asks. The conversation became hard to her as I am still locked in the room. She said, Cassandra. Assange's lawyer is also being searched again outside the room. So I can only hear bits and pieces of that conversation. He came back, the Julian lawyer came back in with a glass of water and told me to hang tight. Cassandra says, I feel like a prisoner in Ecuadorian embassy. I mean, it's so absurd that it's almost comical. It's so absurd. I mean, it's so Orwellian that it's almost comical. I feel like a prisoner receiving a visit. I mean, it's so absurd. It's so Orwellian. It is almost comical. Finally, someone from the embassy came in and told me that I need to go to the lobby so that the ambassador could meet with Assange in the room. The room with the cameras and the bags. I see Assange in passing in the lobby and say "I," but this is cut short as if they are directed immediately to the conference room. Still phoneless, I glance at the clock and notice that it's 19 past 4. I was locked in the room for over an hour, the conference room. Sitting in the lobby, I heard much of the conversation, so I begin to take notes again. Julian, is this a prison? This is how you treat a prisoner and not a political refugee, as Assange demands. Ambassador Jamie Alberto Marchand retorts, saying, "It is for our protection and to protect you." At this point, clearly frustrated, Assange asserts, "I'm trying to have a private conversation with a journalist. I'm also a journalist. If you're stopping me from doing my work, how can I safely relay my mistreatment and illegality going on here to this journalist while under surveillance?" One of the issues, it seemed, is that Assange wanted to bring a small radio into the conference room to muffle our voices, to have some privacy, so the microphone surveilling the room wouldn't pick up what we were saying as easily. There also appears to be a concern that they will share story with other journalists now that they are in muzzled and gagged. "You are preventing this journalist from meeting with me in any other room," Assange says. Only part of the conversation is audible at this point, as someone clearly decides they need to jingle keys and make a ton of noise for several minutes. So they try to prevent Cassandra Fairbanks from writing down the content of this row between Julian and the ambassador. Then Julian again, "You are being illegally surveilling me," Assange sternly insists. "I want you to shut up," the ambassador says. "Julian, I know you want me to shut up. The Ecuadorian president has already gagged me," Assange fired back. "I am banned from producing journalism." Assange is not wrong. On March 28th, so this is obviously it is being held totally incommunicado for 7 months, apart from receiving visits from his lawyers. Even there, the Ecuadorian embassy people were being very difficult, even in allowing him to. For 7 months, it was even there was some obstruction even when he needed to see his lawyers. So, in order to, and then after 7 months, in order to have his visa internet restored, he was presented with a 9-page document that outlined limitations and restrictions on what he would be able to do and say online. That is when he resigned from WikiLeaks. He ended in his resignation to WikiLeaks because he was obviously not able to function anymore as to fulfill his role as WikiLeaks president. And so that's all the in and out, the gagging. Lenin Moreno, the current discretion of the current Ecuadorian president, that say Assange is not allowed to express his political opinion. So in and out. Some of the restrictions include also is one of the restrictions imposed on him is that he cannot talk about his treatment in the embassy. So one of the restrictions, so he's being heavily abused. In an interview with El País, which is a Spanish right-wing publication in July, President Moreno, the current president of Ecuador, also said that his ideal solution is that Assange may enjoy being extradited if the UK promises that the US will not kill him. The argument outside, then Cassandra again about this row raging, flaming row. The argument continued to escalate. Assange brought up the fact that Ecuador allowed people with diplomatic immunity to be questioned by the US government in January. So they completely surrendered their sovereignty to the US, obviously, at the moment, Ecuador, because they get a few billions loans from Goldman Sachs, and this Latin American Bank for inter-regional Latin American banks, which they get a few billion for what they're doing to blood money for what they're doing to Julian. Julian, again, you're acting as an agent of the United States government and preventing me from speaking with U.S. journalists about this violation, Assange said. What kind of sovereign state allows its ambassador to be interrogated by another nation? No self-respecting state does that. You have been working with the U.S. government against me. It is disgraceful. You are an agent of the U.S. government. You're talking to the Ecuadorian ambassador. And there will be consequences for your illegal acts, Assange continues. He pointed out that the ambassador had put his own privacy at risk with his effort to assist in spying on him. The embassy on equipment that was used to protect you was removed to help them, the US government, to spy on me, say Julian. As the conversation intensified, the staff member who had answered the door searched me, noticed, she's been searched, obviously, so, noticed that I was taking notes to turn on a loud television. He kept turning the volume up until the conversation in the conference room was completely drowned out. He also turned on a loud fan, despite the fact that the embassy was very cold. At around 4:45, just when he actually more or less very close to the time that the interview was going to end anyway, Marchand, the Ecuadorian ambassador, and several other men stormed out of the conference room. I attempted to ask the ambassador if the embassy behavior was specific to me, if they planned to give all visitors same sinister treatment. The ambassador ignored me, rushed into another room. Finally, Assange comes out. I am able to give him a hug and speak to him briefly in the lobby. Unfortunately, there was only about 8 minutes left of our 2-hour scheduled visit time, and the limit was still being enforced. At 2 minutes to 5, a member of the staff come over and inform after say that if we want to talk, it must be done in the conference room, and that we only had 2 minutes left. We stared at him blankly, then began to say our goodbyes. And then again, Cassandra Fairbanks said, my departure was so rushed that I ended up leaving my passport in the embassy, but thankfully the staff ran out and gave it to me. Oh my God. You can read more about the study-style surveillance of the embassy in my article about our visit in January. More up-to-date background information about what is currently going on with WikiLeaks and Assange can be found here and there. This article from the fantastic Cassandra Fairbanks. So basically, so you see what is going on. You see what is going on with Julian at the embassy, and if you live in London, you have an opportunity to join in these 2 days with possibly a lot of people staying overnight with sleeping bag and outside the embassy, with probably a lot of people from journalists and media people, probably a bit of media around, even though at the moment you may say that most of the media, what they're doing mostly, I mean, what they're doing most of the time, they're actually trying to do their best to ignore what's happening with Julian, but but there's still be a few alternative media, a few mainstream media there, I expect, and a few high-profile political activists and journalists from all over the world. I don't want to say any name because I don't know the details, so I don't want to give you fake information. I expect possibly John Pilger is going to be there, and but I don't know. I don't really know. But so I may try to go there maybe for one day or maybe for a few hours. If you're also not just living in London, but if you're a target individual living in London, you can go there and maybe try to give you away some literature and distribute some literature, and maybe try to also, while supporting Julian, also try to make like people aware, people which may be quite receptive, prepared to listen, aware of some of the Orwellian stuff they're doing to us, the few thousand targeted individuals over the Western world, innocent people, and that probably may find people quite willing to listen and to pay attention. So now let me get back to see if let me get back to. So yeah, let's have another look at some of the other story there. I think I'm going to wind things up. So at the moment, unfortunately, the plan would be to have one of these reports every day, and maybe just for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. And unfortunately, because of the fact that I'm not very well at the moment, and I had to have an annual operation in less than 2 weeks and very much advised to, for some time now, I've been very much advised to take things easy, which is something actually for weeks a month I have been completely disregarding. But so unfortunately at the moment I'm making these long reports, and then maybe every 2 or 3 days, because the best I can do at the moment. The plan is to have one in kind of late afternoon every day, lasting 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and so I'm working to get there. What I would like to say, now it's quite interesting what is happening also, because it gives a bit of background of what is happening with Ecuador, and it's quite interesting to say a few words about what's happening with Ecuador, because the former, the former Ecuadorian president, Emmanuel Correa, was he was very proactive in protecting Julian and helping Julian, and Emmanuel Correa was the president. He was representing a populist party in Ecuador, which actually a party which is under Emmanuel Correa, Ecuador kicked out all these U.S. bases military bases in the country. It was doing a lot to alleviate the poverty of the Ecuadorian people, and to try to help the poorest in society. Then I think it was a couple of years ago, Emmanuel Correa, who has been president for 2 terms, was not longer allowed to stand for another term, so had to stand down. Standing for the Populist Party, the same Populist Party, was actually this guy Lenin Moreno, which was actually Correa vice president during his tenure. And so it was supposed to be total continuity. But then Lenin Moreno was elected. It was supposed to be total continuity with the protection of Julian Assange, with his populist policy of trying to not to work for the terror financial pedophile banker, but to work actually for the people of Ecuador, to alleviate their poverty, to improve their living condition and their working condition. I mean, what happened actually the election instead? Basically, Lenin Moreno was supposed to belong to the same party, was supposed to be a close associate of the former president, Emmanuel Correa. As soon as he got elected, he started to sell out completely, causing up to the bankers, the industrialists in Ecuador, the U.S. State Department, the intelligence community, you name it. So basically, to the point that the former Ecuadorian president, Emmanuel Correa, which was quite vocal in criticizing this complete U-turn, this complete betrayal of the Ecuadorian people, he had to flee the country to Belgium for his own safety. Yeah, that was the former president, belonged to the same party. He had to flee. At some point, he was so concerned about his own safety that he had to flee the country. Moreno, vice president, a guy called Jamie Glass, again, like many other people in his populist party, was very much against all these U-turns, these changing policies, like selling out to the bankers and selling out to the industrialists, selling out to the United States. So again, he's very vice president. The guy was elected on the same ticket as, President Moreno, a guy called Jamie Glass. Again, he started to be quite vocal in criticizing these new changes of the policies, changes. Then he ended up, so what Moreno did, it is like, he set him up like he was trying to do with Emmanuel Correa, with some fake corruption charges, yeah? So Moreno, his own vice president, ended up in jail on some fake corruption charges. And then last time I heard about what was happening with him, it was like, he was in prison, he was on a hunger strike, he was to that door, basically, he was almost dying. He was in protracted food and liquid hunger strike, possibly because protesting against the monstrosity of what was being done to him. So to get some understanding what it does, we see about the victimization of Julian Assange at the hands of the new Ecuadorian government. But the first people, we need to understand, to look at it in context, the first people to be victimized by Lenin Moreno, this creature, is actually the Ecuadorian people. He put the former president Emmanuel Correa in the situation where he felt for his own safety he had to flee Ecuador to Belgium. His own vice president, Georgie Glass, because he wasn't approving of his new economic policy, he set him up with some corruption charges. At the last I heard about this guy, he was in prison on hunger strike, this close to death. So to give some idea of Lenin Moreno. So the first victim of Lenin Moreno, the new Ecuadorian president, actually the people of Venezuela. To the extent that the former president had to flee the country, his own vice president, he was at that door, imprisoned on hunger strike, and it completely tried to impose draconian austerity policy on the Ecuadorian people, tried to reverse the previous policy, tried to get people out of poverty. It is imposing, privatizing everything. They're starting a new campaign of privatization. We need to understand that we are seeing the horrific way in which Julian Assange is being treated by the current Ecuadorian government. We need to understand that under Lenin Moreno, the new president, the first victim of this is government. They're actually the Ecuadorian people. Former president had to flee the country, current president on hunger strike, close to that. His own vice president on his own election ticket was on hunger strike, this close to death. The Ecuadorian people, the huge campaign of austerity, privatization, millions of Ecuadorian people being pushed again back into abject poverty. So that's a bit of background of what is happening in Ecuador. The good news is that seems that the tide, and then there was this multi-billion dollars loan by the IMF, Goldman Sachs, that is inter-Latin American bank given to Ecuador just at the same time when, Lenin Moreno put in March last year when, at the same time in March last year, Julian Assange was prevented from any kind of communication with the outside world, and then they get a several billion loan by the IMF, Goldman Sachs, and the Latin America Intercontinental Bank. So this is a context in which this abomination against Julian Assange is taking place. So see if I have some other news I can possibly share with you. Let's have a look and see if I'm here. Okay, so I managed to share this information. Israel is spying in and on the U.S. from the excellent information clearing out. So yeah, it seems that The state of Israel is not content or not satisfied with getting all the information from basically the Five Eyes intelligence agencies, including US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, wholesale, I repeat, wholesale. So they get all this information, the Mossad is getting all the information collected by the intelligence community of these 5 countries, wholesale, so it's not filtered in any way to protect people living in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada. They give you all this information to the Mossad without any concern to protecting or filtering it or protecting, some protection for the national of these 5 different countries. Just that they give a lot to Israel, to the Mossad, but it seems they're not content with all this information they're getting, free information they're getting from the CIA, the NSA, the MI5, MI6. There's still been many times been said that the Mossad is in terms of fault is probably in terms of fault different like intelligence agencies operating in the in the United States. It's been said many times that there are many studies apparently the Mossad in the United States is probably the foreign intelligence agency which is spying on the American government, the American people in the most aggressive way. More aggressively than the Chinese, more aggressively than the Russian. I'm sure, to pay for all these kind of endeavors, they probably use a lot of the free money they're getting from the US government, whilst at the same time you get if you go outside any major American city, there are all these big tent city of homeless people, but then you have all this free money flowing from Washington DC to Tel Aviv, and then which I think actually pale into insignificance if you consider all the probably the money that various banks, various various banking organizations they manage to steal from the United States to funnel the money to the state. So I mean, there is the money, the free money which is coming from Washington DC to Israel, but it's just a minuscule fraction of all the money that gets stolen from through the Federal Reserve and that gets stolen, funneled to Israel. So obviously there are plenty of money to spy on all the American, to use to spy on all the American people, probably more aggressively than even the Russia and China are doing. And they have plenty of change left to buy, completely use the IPAC to completely buy all these the member of the Senate, the Congress, basically. That's all factual. There's not smears of spurious allegations. There's no fact that it's been proven by many studies, many, it's all factual. So there we are about the Israel spying on the United States very aggressively. And then another one, just what I was saying just now, from the same excellent information, clearing out how much Israel is spending to buy Washington politicians. It's probably, with all the money they're stealing out of the United States, there's probably plenty of money to spy on the American people, to buy basically all the, the entire Washington DC establishment, political establishment. So. And then have a lot of spare change to to kill Palestinians and engage in genocide against the Palestinian people with the change left. What does that's the Israel lobby. What does the Israel lobby US document reveal about the lobby in America? Again, from Information Freedom. So I watched this documentary. It's a 4-hour documentary from Al Jazeera. I watched this documentary, the lobby. You better try to try to watch it until it's still available. Because it's still available because I don't think they still try to squeeze it out from YouTube, from all the different. So there's a major effort underway to try to make it impossible for people to watch this documentary in the future. So, however, it is called The Lobby. It was made by Al Jazeera. I don't have a lot of time for Al Jazeera at the moment, which is quite different from the way Al Jazeera started at the time of the Iraq war. The current Al Jazeera, they've been working for regime change to destroy Libya and Syria years ago. So I mean, I don't have a lot of time for Al Jazeera, but they came out with this excellent documentary, 4-hour documentary. I watch every single second of it. It's called Telabi. So I will advise people to watch it. Make the tear at the back of your neck stand up. It's unbelievable. To know what is really going on, I would advise people to have a look, to look it up and watch it. 4 hours, it's worth every second before it disappears down the memory hole again, the usual occurrence. So, yes, so see, okay, another one. I've talked about the lobby documentary many times before. So I went into detail about this documentary, not now because, I don't want to digress too much. Venezuelan minister shows scorched power plant, blame terrorists for blackout. It would appear that basically there was. It would appear that there had been some document being leaked or hacked. We showed that basically the Washington establishment and the State Department were for many years they have a plan in place, the draft plan to sabotage or to regime change Latin American countries, particularly Venezuela, using power outages. Or cyber attack, power outage, bombing power stations. So apparently there have been plans drafted how causing power outages. How causing power outages can what's going on there? How causing power outages then can be used to regime change various Latin American countries, but with special attention being paid to actual regime change in Venezuela. So we have the document which that tells again how important for us is to have these leakers, these acts, organizations like WikiLeaks. That so we actually, even though all this stuff used to disappear in a matter of hours, disappear through the memory hole, it's never been reported by mainstream media, etc. At least some of this stuff is coming out, some of the nefarious, evil, perverse stuff they're getting up to, at least is coming out into public, at least it's, if only for a few hours from alternative media. So we get some of the information about their criminal activity, their evil. I wouldn't even call them criminal activity. That was fine. I'm not a religious person, but I think you can only use the expression evil to describe the activity of this creature. So, yes, it is interesting footnote on this thing, because as soon as they start bombing this power station in Venezuela, in Brazil, and hacking into the Venezuelan grid, causing all these power outages, then all the people in Washington D.C., the politicians in Washington D.C., they start saying, "Oh, we need to do something about the poor people of Venezuela, which are left without power. Everything is getting out of control in Venezuela. Is chaos. We need to intervene. We need to do something." That's the same people that are in Washington D.C. after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Basically, the electrical grid in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria was down continuously for 7 months. And no one in Washington, D.C. gave a shit about that. They probably couldn't care less. They didn't do anything. They didn't spend any money to get the situation back to normal. They couldn't care less. 7 months. The electrical grid down in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria is considered to be a U.S. territory. They didn't give a shit. But as soon as caused by their bombing and their hacking and they started to get a few hours blackout in Venezuela, immediately for some reason they became very concerned about the well-being. Well, they don't give a shit about the people in Puerto Rico. They became very concerned, extremely concerned about the well-being of the people in Venezuela. Right? And then it's quite interesting that when they were trying to get all these convoys of aid into Venezuela, which was a state provocation, the totally abomination in Iran, with the complicity of Richard Branson, and let's not go there. But in the same day or the same couple of days when they were trying to get all this weapon into probably bombs and explosive into Venezuela, they said, "Oh, we want to help the people of Venezuela. We are so concerned about the people." And then you see that Max Blumenthal move in Venezuela, when you see that all at the same time being shown live, when you see all the market, the supermarket is full of food, full of goods, and no one is, But anyway, so when they were so tired, were bleeding about the well-being of the people of Venezuela, in the same couple of days, President Trump signed an order, tried to suspend all kind of economic aid to Puerto Rico. That was the same couple of days when they were trying to get all this explosive into Venezuela. aid into Venezuela. And on the same couple of days, President Trump signed an order whereby all what is pittance, crumbs, meager, not existing economic aid was given to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, just while they were trying to get all this explosive into Venezuela, because we were very concerned about the well-being of the people of Venezuela. President Trump signed an order to stop all the meager, non-existent, financial help given to Puerto Rico, had to stop. So, they seem not to give a shit about the people of Puerto Rico, but they are very concerned about the people in Venezuela. They are really concerned about the well-being of the people in Venezuela. There you go. So, let's have a look if I have more news for you. Okay. Oh, I think there is a nice picture there. I don't know if I can get this one. Oh, that's a good one, to chart the insanity of the people in Washington, D.C. So Pompeo, this fat creature there, and I'm going to call him a pig. No, I'm not going to call him a pig, I just call him a fat creature. He said that God may have sent Trump to save Israel from Iran. I don't know if he's part of this, Zionist evangelical people, which are totally, obviously, deranged, or if it's just like to take more likely just to take the money of the IPAC. But so it is Pompeo, this lovely creature there, he said that he thinks that President Trump may have been sent by God to save Israel from Iran. So how deranged is that on a scale of 1 to 10? So we are really, with this creature Pompeo, the State Department, we are really in good hands. Talk about Dr. Strangelove, and so we get some breaking news. If people are interested in following Brexit, DUP say won't back. DUP say won't back May Brexit deal, while Conservative rebels change their minds. So basically, there is not a number. So Theresa May deal. She said just early this afternoon, if I can get the deal through. If I can get the deal through, I'm going to resign in the following weeks. But apparently, not even that is sufficient to persuade people to vote for a deal, because without the DUP vote, the deal is dead in the water. So, that's latest news in the last few minutes. See if I can have more mind-blowing news for you. Oh, that's a lovely one. So that's a lovely one from, I believe, from the wonderful Canary, by Tracy Keeling. And it says that one of these, you may have heard about this so-called independent, so-called independent Blairite MP, which are basically the term to prevent these Blairite MP, which are prevent to, go to any length, to any extent to prevent Jeremy Corbyn from becoming Prime Minister. So there was this 8 defection that they created this so-called independent group. See if I can find it. So, okay. So I thought, so I'm sure you heard about these people, creature, which 8 of 10 defecting from the Labour Party. Probably a lot of people in the Labour Party are quite happy to see this creature go. I mean, like when you get rid of a cancer or something successful, But, however, it's quite interesting that one of these 8 creatures, the one which was this basically, I think there's this so-called independent new parliamentary group. It includes, I think, up to date, I think 8 defecting Labour MP and 3 defecting Tory MP, so including such luminaries as Anna Subri and the rest of them. Anyway, let's have a look, because it's quite interesting piece of information, because one of these creatures, a farmer, which is one of these people that constantly, they spend most of their waking hours accusing Jeremy Corbyn of anti-Semitism. So this defecting MP, that's one of the new, this a lady called John Ryan, which is also she's the chair of this LFI, which is she's the actually I wonder how she can still be the chair, remain the chair. She left the Labour Party, but apparently she is still the chair of this LFI, which is Labour Friend of Israel, even though she left the Labour Party. But Mike Pompeo God works in mysterious ways, like we saw just now. So this lady called John Ryan, so she's the chair of Labour Friend of Israel. The Labour Party defected to left the Labour Party. Is one of these 8 Labour MP which spend most of their waking time accusing Jeremy Corbyn of anti-Semitism. She traveled 3,000 miles and she spoke at the IPAC annual conference 2019 in Washington, D.C. And during her contribution, she repeated a weekend the banks made about a Labour leader to 18,000 strong audience. So these people, like, as soon as they wake up in the morning, they start making allegations against Jeremy Corbyn. So it's like until the time that they go to bed at night, they spend all their waking hours trying to accuse Jeremy Corbyn of anti-Semitism. So this lady, John Ryan MP, Labour MP, well, no longer independent MP, she traveled to she visited the IPAC conference where she, she spent most of the time there in her speech, again, basically accusing Jeremy Corbyn of being an anti-Semite. So that's... So that's quite interesting, you may say, and a little bit of Israel, another one, Israel claimed victory for getting a Palestinian activist banned from Germany. So there was this Palestinian activist who was supposed to speak. German officials revoked a Palestinian activist visa and refusing to let her speak at the International Women's Day event in Berlin. The Israeli government has taken credit for this action, claiming it applied pressure on German officials. How lovely. So, yes, what more can I say? I just give you the facts, then you can make up your mind about what is going on. So there's this quite interesting company called Genie Energy. It's very interesting because, Genie Energy is the company which is basically stealing the oil, Syrian oil from the Golan Heights. So it was quite topical. This by Ed Hewitt. It's quite topical because just now, I'm sure you know, Donald Trump has said that he basically he's going to recognize the Golan Heights as part of the State of Israel. So it's a very interesting company, Genie Energy. So they're very stealing basically stealing Genie Energy operating on the Golan Heights. They're stealing Syrian, terribly sorry, stealing Syrian oil, on behalf of Israel. But it's quite interesting because if I can, I would like to show you something. I will very much like to show you something and about Genie, this company called Genie. I would like to show you something about this company called Genie. Show you what the people which are mainly, this company which is stealing the Syrian oil from the Golan Heights on behalf of the Israel, on behalf of the State of Israel. Let me show you if I can succeed. Let me show it to you. Try it. Okay. Let me show you about Genie Energy. So you know what are the main people. That's all factual. It's not something I'm making out of spite. So not something I'm making out of spite. This is Genie Energy. Genie Energy. This company. The stuff you had this. You couldn't possibly make up this stuff because it would appear to be too surreal to make it up. But this Genie Energy, which is stealing the Syrian oil on behalf of the State of Israel, or in complicity with the State of Israel, shall I say, working with the State of Israel, basically is owned by, guess whom? Rupert Murdoch, Jacob Rothschild, and Dick Cheney. So that's a lovely bit of information. That's Genie Energy, which for a number of years has been involved in stealing the Syrian oil from the Golan Heights. His own, some of the men, owner of this company are on the left. You can see Rupert Murdoch. On the middle, you can see Jacob Rothschild and Dick Cheney. So that is all factual. It's not an evil conspiracy theory. There you go. But enough of this. And see if we can go back to this. So obviously, Ed Hewitt is arguing that, so this criminal enterprise, the stealing of the Syrian oil, now Trump is recognizing the Golan Heights as part of the State of Israel. The missing link in all this criminal activity, a criminal racket, is a guy called, I'm sure you're familiar with, we know everything about this lovely creature, called Jared Kushner, the husband of, oh my God, Freudian, the husband of Ivanka Trump, obviously, as I'm sure 300% of you know already, so, I'm not telling you because I think you don't know, just to, it's a rhetorical. So it's interesting to, quite interesting because we talk about being in bed with the Rothschild, and we say, oh, you're in bed with the Rothschild, he's in bed with the Rothschild, who's in bed with the Rothschild? So it's quite interesting that Trump is quite literally in bed with the Rothschild. There's a Trump family that are quite literally in bed with the Rothschild because before marrying Jared Kushner, this lovely creature, Ivanka Trump was dating Nat Rothschild, the son of Jacob Rothschild. We just seen a very lovely picture of Jacob there in the previous So basically, Ivanka was dating not Rothschild in London for this Nat is the son of Jacob Rothschild for 2 years. So when we talk about being in bed with the Rothschild family, the Trump family being in bed with the Rothschild family, quite literally, there you go. But then apparently they found out that Nat Rothschild was a bit to higher up in the food chain, so they had to settle for a poor man. Not Rothschild, namely Jared Kushner. So there you go. And let's see if I have any more wondrous and fantastic news for you. Let's see. Okay. Oops. Okay. Let's see. If, as I said, I would like to do, at the moment, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, including hernia operation soon, and I would very much like to do this like doing this stuff in a more sane way, namely like do maybe 1 hour every day of into late afternoon. But then because at the moment I'm challenged on a number of different fronts, I end up doing doing it every 2 or 3 days, and then I have to concentrate a lot of information in just one report, which is a bit crazy, but but it's all work in progress. And then, as part of the new grand jury on 9/11, a grand jury on 9/11, apparently, as part of this, people try to create a grand jury on what happened on 9/11, the evidence of 9/11, etc. Now, the same people are suing the FBI, the Department of Justice, for failure to report 9/11 evidence to Congress, and some. I mean, they obviously they've been rather reporting evidence to Congress. They probably tried to be very busy in Australia, trying to disappear tons of evidence. I mean, and then you have all the witnesses that have been dying like fly, or all the witnesses, 9/11 witnesses, that they were telling a different story about the explosion. Then they have been dying like flies and mysteriously. So, I mean, so talk about reporting evidence. They've probably been working around the clock to destroy evidence for the best part of, I don't know, what, 18, 19 years. But, so there you go. And what else? Then there is Chelsea Manning is back in prison in isolation, and Chelsea supporters say that it's torture, plain and simple. Manning supporters demand their release from solitary confinement. Yeah, I'm sure they they don't have any problem in trying to make a condition in jail as torturous as possible. That's what they do for a living. So and that's probably what they plan to do to Julian Assange if they were managed to get Julian in U.S. custody, I suppose. I mean, so no wonder, yeah. So let's see if I have more news about. So I'm sure everyone know about the current plight of. To make a story short, to break it down for you, it seemed that is basically the idea there was to get. I think it's to make a story short, because people may maybe not be aware of all the ins and outs. The idea to get Chelsea in front of a grand jury with threat of charging him of perjury, with other stuff. They were trying to basically make Chelsea say under the duress and blackmail, and that actually Julian, there was a prior connection with Julian, that Julian actually been soliciting Chelsea to provide this information, because if they can do that, then they can charge Julian with this espionage. They try something which has been debunked so many times. This BS story about, we know how Chelsea Manning gets exposed, which has nothing to do with Julian. Julian has been trying to the best to be working round the clock at the time to help and protect Chelsea. And But now what they're trying to make, this fabrication they try to sell people for a long time is that there was a prior connection between Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange. It was Julian who solicited, which is not the way WikiLeaks works. That's total bullshit. But is it to try to make out that Julian solicited Chelsea to provide his information about the Iraq files, etc., which has been debunked billions of times. This nonsense. But so to try either under duress or some. They will try to get this kind of, to substantiate this nonsense, to try to use Chelsea to substantiate this nonsense. So if they can do that, as if they could do that, they would be able then to charge Julian with espionage, you see. That's the, so if you're puzzled about what's going on with Chelsea Manning, why she's in prison, back in prison and being tortured by these criminals, that's why they will try to get some kind of declaration after Chelsea Manning that there was a prior relationship with Julian. I thought it was actually Julian who solicited Chelsea with obtaining this kind of information, because if they can do that, they can then will be able, not that they don't have anything on Julian. Even though they make stuff up as they go along, as Mike is right, they don't have anything from a legal standpoint. They don't have anything on Julian. So, but if they can make up this bullshit story that he solicited the information from Chelsea, then they can charge him with espionage. So, if you wonder what all this saga means, that this new development, that's what this means, basically. So let's go back to see if I have any more information. Pedophile criminal that they try to commission a study claiming that conspiracy theories more likely to become criminal. So that's like in the same way as they after they murder Kennedy, they try to create these. They've got the conspiracy theory memes, so they could discredit everyone asking questions, the obvious question about what happened with Kennedy, poor Kennedy. So now they try to make out that everyone which questions their official pedophilia version of events is a criminal, or more prone to become a criminal. So. Iowa town, blunt fluoride, and program of chemical dangers. I mean, my God, it's a bit late in today because most of our brain has been poisoned forever. Iowa town, blunt fluoride. After 40 years, we've been exposed to this horrible stuff, which is totally toxic for the brain. It's known to make people passive and lethargic. It's rot, destroy your teeth. So quite belatedly, Iowa town banned fluoride, whilst they have been exposed to these neurotoxic substances for the best part of, best part of 40 or 50 years. Sorry, but so it would appear that we are being lied to all the time. We are being lied to all the time. We have been lied to all the time, and it's pretty unbelievable what they're getting up to. All this stuff they call science is all a big. Most of the stuff they call science is just lies and propaganda. I came across this article where they basically the sugar industry, the people producing refined sugar, they found out a long time ago, 30, 40 years ago, that the refined sugar has it causing cancer, it causes diabetes, it make people obese. So what they try to do, they try to divert attention on saturated fats. Say, oh no, sugar, they knew they have all this information, they try to twist everything around and say, no, sugar is good for you, it's saturated fat that give you diabetes and stuff. What actually seems to have been happening then, people then decide to stay away from saturated fats, some of which are actually very, very important, very useful for the human organism. And what happened to them is that in staying away from saturated fat, or banning completely from their diet, the people started to develop the inordinate craving for sugar, which then it was the really, and then it turned out, as sugar is actually very central in creating cancer. Unrefined sugar, refined sugar is very central in causing cancer, causing diabetes, causing obesity. So I mean, when they come to you and tell you this is good for you, the recently there was internet this article say that this thing Febreze is making you flat, look, smell nice, etc., is actually a compound of very toxic lethal substances. So when they tell you, they try to sell you something, when they try to sell you some scientific information, just don't believe, don't listen to any words they say. Just don't listen. And the thing with fluoride, I think, fluoride is when at the beginning of the 19th century there was aluminum become very important material in all kind of industrial production, and because of its strength, its lightness. And so they start producing aluminum like mad. It become, forget about stainless steel and the rest of it. Aluminum was the new thing. In the production of aluminum, as a byproduct, you produce a lot of toxic fluoride. So they in the 20 or 30, they were still trying to dispose of this fluoride safely. They had to spend they're making a lot of aluminum, and then they had to dispose of a lot of fluoride. They were spending a lot of money, try to dispose of this aluminum safely. But then in the 20 or 30, there was this public interest campaign started by someone in the federal government, which is trying to persuade people that fluoride in the water is very good for people, for your teeth, for your health, and for everything. It's wonderful. You never need to go to the dentist ever again. Fluoride in the water, your teeth, perfect. So that's what the interesting thing is, that this guy, which in the federal government was presiding over this public information campaign, so-called, he was actually a former executive, or a former top executive of one of these companies producing aluminium. I think it may have been Alcoa. I wish I could remember the name of this creature or the name of the company he was working for previously. So it so happened that the guy was running this public information campaign, telling people that fluoride is so good for you. He was actually a former chief executive, one of these major aluminium producer in the United States. I think he was, I wish I could remember the name of this creature, the name of the company. So there you go. So, if I give you the idea what I mean. And so that, I like, I don't watch, I try to stay away from, it's like from mainstream media, from newspaper, all this garbage, because it's like, if you're not careful, some of this stuff, even if you're very careful, these people are prostitutes. I mean, some of these stuff, prostitutes, but you can still catch something nasty that some of these lies and propaganda can rub on you. So I just try to stay away from all this fake science, fake history, fake news, all the bullshit and propaganda. That's what I try to do. Yes, that's what I try to do. So let's go back and have a quick look at what's going on. See if we can have any other information. Okay, let's see. Okay, from an activist post, 80-story cave that shot the FBI, the CIA were out of control. Oh my God, I mean, the mind boggles. In a scandal today, Europe votes on a law. It is referring to Article 13, which is, unless something is done, it's probably going to be the last nail in the coffin of our freedom of speech. The American Party within the institution of the European Union. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something which I find quite interesting, that they found kind of convenient when they talk about Russia, about they find convenient to treat Russia like Russia is some kind of monolithic authoritarian entity, like they're doing with Venezuela. Venezuela, no freedom of speech whatsoever. Then you find out that actually most, like in our country, the United Kingdom, like in the United States, like in many other European countries, other countries, most of the media, the press, the mainstream media, are all in the hand of a small handful of press barons, like in this country, Venezuela. So, and then you find out that actually they take in Venezuela, this press baron control 95% of the, up to 95% of the entire mainstream media, press, printed paper, printed media. And all these people, they are dead against Maduro. And then from time to time, they keep calling for the assassination of Maduro. So they say, oh, there is no freedom of speech in Venezuela. No one can say anything without getting in trouble. Then you got all these media barons control all of the media. And they, a regular interval, they call for the assassination of Maduro. They're getting away with it, but there is no freedom of speech in Venezuela. The same thing is with the people in Russia. This monolithic authoritarian state, no freedom of speech, no democracy, nothing. As it happens, from the 90s, when this, when the country was completely, taken over by all these billionaire oligarchs, actually, there is a lot of people, they call the Atlanticists in Russia. They still control a lot of the economy. They're very close to NATO, they're very close to Washington, D.C. They control most of the bank and the financial sector and the financial ministries. And they constantly sabotaging what President Putin tried to do in defending the interests of the Russian people. So they try to get this idea, oh, Russia is some kind of monolithic authoritarian country with President Putin on top. But then you have all this, most of the financial sector, the financial ministries are still controlled by these Atlanticist people, which are oligarch, billionaire, which move all their money out of Russia, constant sabotaging the Russian economy, buying US treasures, sabotaging everything Putin is trying to do. So the best thing is just to stay away from the propaganda, because even if you are very careful, some of the bullshit is going to rub on you, so just avoid them. All the fake science, fake history, fake news, avoid. That's what I say. Let's see if, where is it? This one, let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of this one, oops. Let's get rid of this one and see if I have any more news for you. I know this is crazy going on for so long, but I need to get better organized. The criminal insane EU Parliament, they mean passing Article 13, which is may very well be the last nail in the coffin of our freedom of speech. Rally for Palestine. So there is a rally for Palestine. Let's have a look. Rally for Palestine on the 30th of March is going to be by the Israeli embassy in Kensington between 1 and 3 o'clock. So people may want to attend to, to defend the Palestinian people from the unspeakable thing being perpetrating against them. Right. Okay. What else? The new attack on Venezuelan national electric system. Oh yeah, the New York County declares state of emergency, bans all unvaccinated kids from all public spaces. They're trying to drag us all into some kind of nuclear war or some kind of nuclear holocaust, but they're very concerned about why are they doing that? They're very concerned about the danger of unvaccinated kids, which then are getting banned from all public spaces. So why they're poisoning us all with the GMO food and playing around, playing God with our genes and doing unspeakable thing and getting closer and closer to some kind of nuclear holocaust. With total abandonment, they're also very concerned about the danger, the terrible danger unvaccinated kids can present to the general population. So they're being banned from all public spaces. Yes, fascinating. And what else we have? NHS for sale, that is very interesting. That's a very interesting website. There was also this very courageous GP, which in this country, which is being given, he wrote a book about the fact that they basically privatizing the NHS on the quiet, and so they are very quiet about it. They are very quiet. They try to be very, very discreet about it, but it would appear that maybe up to 60-70% of the entire NHS has already been privatized, and then we know that we have the information that that's one of these kind of information that sound like you're making it up like a crazy conspiracy theorist, but it's actually all factual. We know that a few years ago, at the time of Blair, and there was something, a lovely department in the Rothschild Bank in this country, which is called the privatization unit. So they basically they all the time try to, what little is not being privatized yet, including private air we breathe, they try to privatize it. So it's like so as to be able to make even more money, to push even more million people into abject poverty, starvation, crime, substance abuse, desperation, mental illness, and etc., etc. So that's what they do. It's called the Rothschild Bank Privatization Unit. It's not something I'm making up like, the story you read on 1984. It does. There is something called Rothschild Bank Privatization Unit in this country. There was this lovely creature like people, Tory MP like John Redwood, and the other nice one, Oliver Letwin, that even I think it was even this the guy who's been like now our distinguished foreign secretary, which for many years been working tirelessly to destroy the NHS, to sell it out to a number of American companies, and this creature, Jeremy Hunt, they were all involved in the drafting plan to completely privatize the NHS, and now, unbeknownst to the great majority of people, I believe that there is what is courageous GP, I think he's working in East London. He wrote this book. I wish I remember the title of the book. But I watched the program when he was interviewed and stuff, but I can't remember the name of the book he wrote about the fact that the NHS is by and large is being completely privatized, maybe to 60-70%, but keeping it away from the general public. The first thing you will know is that when they're going to charge you to see your GP, or Okay, so what else? So I will have, if you want to know people, people can Google it up. If you want to know the extent to which our NHS has been privatized, go to this website called NHS for Sale. You will learn some amazing information. IDF it Gaza terrorist targets in second straight night of bombing. Obviously, at regular intervals, the regular intervals, what's happening, what seems to be happening is that they every few years they try to solve all these enormous unsolvable contradiction, political and social contradiction of the state of Israel. They try to, They try to solve all these social, ethnic, even religious, even, and contradiction building up in the state of Israel. They every 2 or 3 years they try to kind of get it out of their system by killing a few thousand Palestinians, usually unarmed women and children, and they call it a war. They're calling it a war. So that seems to be this time of the year again when they feel like to make themselves feel better about all the kind of Rothschild Frankenstein laboratory they're building in Palestine. they feel that to make themselves feel better about themselves, they need to kill a few thousand Palestinians in cold blood, and they're going to call it a war, or they're going to call it retaliation, or something similar. Oh, that's lovely. There's another IPAC link Israeli lobby group. I mean, this one is the new. I mean, mind you, if this one is called PIA, Pro-Israel America. That's a lovely one. They need to create. They already felt they need to create a new one. So we have, the Anti-Defamation League. It is the Southern Poverty Law Center. All this lovely organization. And but if you watch the Al Jazeera the lobby documentary, or if you will find out that actually, there is basically like a spider web. It's like a spider web of maybe evidence. So I think 20,000 different organizations, think tanks, AstroTurf, political groups, media organizations, all like an octopus, all at the IPAC is sitting at the center. It's like a spider web. The IPAC is sitting at the center like the spider. So now they felt they need to create a new one. Good luck to them. So let's see what else we have there, which can be of interest. Oh, that's maybe some concern to target individual. New bill would see U.S. taxpayers subsidize experimental Israeli laser weapons. So basically, the result is some of these. It's been for a number of years now. The Pentagon experimenting with some direct energy laser weapon. Because they discovered that these weapons are so horrific that actually even the Pentagon decide to drop them. But then what they seem to be doing now, they drop them. The Pentagon decided to drop the research into this weapon because they discovered that they are too horrific to be deployed, but they are giving them as a present to the State of Israel, together with the money to carry on research. And I'm sure that the State of Israel is not going to have any compunction in carry on the research into this weapon. So that's a lovely piece of information. So that they were researching into this laser weapon, which. But then they discovered that they were too horrific. They were like, for instance, burning completely out the eyes of the enemy, deploying against the enemy. They were burning, completely burning out the eye of the enemy. Direct energy weapon include lasers. That's the one that doesn't exist. Obviously, that's to avoid any confusion. I mean, to avoid any confusion, because you say, "Oh, you are crazy, you are crazy." Now, I'm not saying that there is many different types, thousands of different types of direct energy weapons. There's the direct energy weapon you can use to interfere with the body, the nervous system of an individual. There are probably other ones which you can use to try to, bombarding a certain area or certain region. You can. For a number of hours, you can try to use that to influence the mindset of large number of people in a certain region. There is the one which are used for purely. We talk in talking about laser or maser, which is a maser is like a microwave laser. So we talk about purely using the military. There's some that are used to can use to blow up an enemy fighter jet or something. So I'm not suggesting that they're all because you're crazy. No, I'm not suggesting anyway. But what seems to have been happening is since the time that MK Ultra became EMK Ultra, electronic MK Ultra, there seems to be not just in the intelligence community, in the defense community, there seems to be this obsession of direct energy weapons. So it's like became the holy grail for all these criminals. So for them it's like the direct energy weapon, they are the future. That they include the one we can use to suppress dissidents in Tehran, making Talil all the time, or like what they did with the green and common women, or the one you can use to to blow up I think that for some time I think the solution of all our military and social control problem can come out of direct energy weapon of many different types of them, obviously. So then I also believe that many of the experiments they conducted on the purely military sphere, they were actually the complete fiascos, and so I don't know if they try some of them, they abandon them, and they're giving it as a present to the genocidal state of Israel, which is quite lovely, so they can use it to them against the Palestinians. So basically, okay. So it seems that it, yeah, well, it seems that, well, you know. Okay, so basically, as I said, I would rather move to all the situation where I'm doing this kind. I think I put into the table a lot of valuable information. Some stuff people may know, some stuff people may not know yet. It's all factual information, irrational information. I advise people to go, if you don't believe with some of the things I'm saying, to go and Google it, find out for themselves. So, and so I would like to be able to, I think it's not easy for me personally, as I said, to have an operation in less than 2 weeks, and so I've been advised to take things easy, which I'm not particularly good at, and so I would like to carry on doing this thing. It's like early days, like teething problems. I would like to be able to do this thing every day, because there's so much happening, many Orwellian news happening in the world, which is basically there's like overlapping with some of the stuff. Some of the stuff is actually overlapping or dovetailing with some of the stuff we target individuals have been telling people for the last 20, 30 years. So it's in a way, disseminating this new Orwellian dystopian news. It may also be a validation or a confirmation of a lot of the stuff we target individuals have been talking about for the last 20, 30 years. So I would like to be able to move to a situation where I do all this stuff in a more sane way, like, maybe 1 hour, 1 hour and a half every day, about the mid to late afternoon. At the moment, I seem that I'm busy all the sorting out and sorting out other things, and then I end up doing maybe every 2 or 3 days. And then I have all this information I have collected in the last 2 or 3 days I need to share, which is make me be overlong. And so, I'm sure we are going to get there with this more sane format. To get a more sane format for this information. So I would like to go back, conclude again with what I started with. That I wish until half an hour before starting this stream, I was not even aware of that. I got a text just half an hour before starting, and I found out that a member of our community, not just any member of our community, but David Brummel, a member of our community, which is, has been with us for many years, campaigning and networking for up to maybe 20, 30 years. It was just also one of the more proactive members in terms of launching initiative and try to spread awareness about targeting, has sadly passed away, and it's hit me very hard because. We had our differences in the past. It was not the way plain sailing, our relationship, and so then it's really addicting, and you look back and you feel a lot of sadness, a lot of guilt. You feel really bad about things, and you may have been saying and things. So I mean, you feel a lot of sadness, a lot of guilt, and I had a little cry, and then I tried to pull myself together. So I don't know at the moment. If you can just as target individual in this country organize something, a memorial, a celebration, and to go to the funeral, find out about the funeral, and get a number of target individuals to be there, or try to do something for David's memory, It's a bit early day because I just found out. So, but, so I'm closing again with the sad news I started with David Brummel has passed away. And with that, I conclude today's stream.